Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 230. Wow.
230.
Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V. 230. My daughter today said, do you have your podcast tonight? And the other one's like, yeah, it's Tuesday. So they're apparently all on board, ready to go, even though they're probably going to bed right now. But here we are, another Tuesday night.
I just thought about it.
Uh-oh.
Did you bring back my leftover dish that I brought to your house?
There was a conversation had about your leftovers from the other evening, and I ate some of them today, and then I thought, I should probably put them in a different tray and then bring it back. And I was like, I'll just bring it back next week.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It was talked about. So Johnny V's wife graciously made some pasta lasagna-ish type baked cheese and shells dish.
She did.
This weekend. It was very delicious as Johnny visited my household as we signed some SmashBoxxTV Patreon discs. So
that's the avenue I was starting to get at.
Look at that. I am picking up what you're putting down there, buddy.
I like it.
So the girls, speaking of which, my two daughters were assembling boxes this afternoon, in fact. Unfortunately,
you're paying them, right? It's like 10 cents or 5 cents a box.
Yep. All right, sure. Support today for my child labor at my house. And speaking of which, if you're in need of Girl Scout cookies, here's what I've been burned by is buying them. AJ Risley and a few others have bought them, and then there's always the intent to find them on tour or bring them. I remember a few years ago I brought them for AJ Risley, and I brought them to a tournament to give them to him, and I ran into Steve Rico or spent the weekend with him. Steve Rico ended up eating AJ's cookies. I don't know. Maybe that was the start of the end of the legacy relationship. I don't know. But yes, they are hustling some Girl Scout cookies, and they're up to $4 a box, which isn't... Whatever. It is what it is. I don't care about the $4 a box. The problem is they're not really practical to ship until you then are paying like $5 a box. And I'm in no position to ship you 5 or 10 or 20 boxes and then lose money while I'm doing it. I'm going to lose enough money on this Girl Scout cookie hustle.
Yeah, I know the Boy Scouts they do popcorn instead. There's actually a website you can go online and put in the kid's special number, order the popcorn, have it delivered to you, and then you pay for the shipping, obviously, if you order from it. But the Boy Scout gets that for I think 4 things like that. Like, guess what? Grandma and Grandpa moved to Florida, but they want to support Boy Scouts yet. So there's things like that.
I'll ship them to you if you really want. Just know that there's going to be a slight surcharge for me to get them shipped out, so I don't have to eat all that. But
that's Today in Scouts with Johnny and Terry.
It is. It's what the kids are doing these days. So welcome, everyone. Podcast again, 2:30. I won't even make 2:30, make a joke about me going to the dentist today. Like, it all sets up so easily, so I'll skip it. But we are going to welcome 4-time women's world champion and international disc golf tourist, as she calls herself, in Paige Pierce. She's going to be joining us in a little while tonight. We'll be able to catch up with her as she obviously took this great trip over to Croatia and probably some other places I couldn't find on a map. So I'll be excited. Maybe we'll quiz her and see if she can find them now that she's traveled.
I would, yeah.
I'm just saying, if you don't travel internationally a lot. So we're going to catch up with her, and unfortunately, we're going to miss out a little Dynamite. He's still working on family things, as we mentioned last week. Big hugs and love to the entire Vichy family and beyond, his dad, his wife, his kids, everyone else from that entire family, as it was a week ago now that his grandmother had passed. So big hugs, big love out to AJ. And another quick one of our first and earliest Smashies of all time, celebrating just his little baby birthday of 25, Jordan Castro. So happy birthday to Jordan.
Just 25.
I know. I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, seriously? You're just 25?
It feels like we've known him forever because he was one of the earliest people on Smashbox and one of our live events, and then we've known him forever. And I have to say, Jordan, I am on Team No Soda right now. I'm gone 15 days. So my goal is the entire month of January. and then maybe I'll just have like just one to celebrate or something because I do crave it a little bit. It's getting less so, but yeah, I'm on Team Water and Team Liquor. So
Yeah, that sounds like a great compromise. I also haven't had any. However, the one difference would be, and maybe I talked about it last week. I'm waiting for Rockstar to make an energy free.
Wait,
yeah, Rockstar. They make energy drinks.
But an energy free one?
Yeah, I want an energy free one. They make. I like Rocked Punch, which I'm sure will kill me in some way or another. So it's sugar free.
Isn't that just called Fruit Punch then?
I whatever it is, I don't care. I just want it. Like, I love the taste of Rockstar 0 calorie Rocked Punch, as it's called, or Rock something or other. But I don't need it for the energy. I just love the taste of it. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I'm going to die because of the carbonation and
of course
100 other things, and I know I will. But I want an energy-free version of an energy drink. I'm going to send a tweet. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but I'm going to try. All right. So, couple real quick. I also saw someone just wrote, when is the Wisconsin tour schedule? It's out. I've on this crazy schedule of staying up till 5 and 6 and 7 a.m. lately. The other day I was up till 8 a.m., and then I sleep from like 8 to noon or 8 to 1. I'm just on this really weird schedule. I have been for a while. And last night, I finally, so everyone in the Midwest, Wisconsin and Northern Illinois and everyone else in Minnesota for sure. There you go, Beth. The Wisconsin disc golf schedule is out. It contains like 80 plus events, 40 or 50 or so or whatever it is are sanctioned. Some obviously, the others aren't. We have A tiers, B tiers, C tiers, singles, doubles. We've got it all.
Where can people find this?
They'll be able to find it as it gets updated to the Wisconsin page on widiscsports.com. Right now, it's just on Facebook in a PDF format. Our good friend Jim Van Lannen, who runs the Silver Cup, an A tier this year, which was featured on the Pro Tour in its first year.
Are we going to see Alyssa tonight? Is she?
I don't know.
We talked with her before they went to Croatia.
I don't believe she's with Paige in Emporia, but
okay.
We'll know from Paige in a matter of minutes.
Certainly.
But that is Alyssa's dad that runs the Silver Cup. So, if you're in Wisconsin and beyond, that schedule is available. All right. So, in other news, also I wanted to let everyone know I also reached out to Anthony Barella as we can get to a few stats and results from the weekend. There was an A tier that took place this weekend, the Shelley Sharp Memorial. Johnny V is going to pull that up so we can read some of the specifics to it. But Anthony Barella, ultimately your champion. He takes it down, wins by a single stroke at this first A tier of the year that we were seeing. I believe he took first over Austin Hannum. And Anthony not available to join us here tonight. I've reached out to Anthony and I said, it won't work. I said, well, then you're just gonna have to win the Maricopa event I see you at in a couple of weeks, and then we for sure have to have you on. And he said, sounds like a plan. So congratulations to Anthony, besting Austin by a single stroke, and then 2 strokes better than Drew Gibson, and then Paul Ulibarri finishing in 4th. So that's what we saw on the men's side. And on the women's side, we'll get back to that in a second. On the women's side, Jennifer Allen handedly took down first place.
31 strokes.
I don't care the stroke correction or the stroke difference in this case. She shot 976, 973, and 976 golf, and that's a good weekend no matter who you're playing against, no matter how deep the field is or isn't. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time believing many women would have been able to keep up with her, even if that field was 20 or 30 deep instead of the 3 that it was, averaging basically 975 golf for the weekend. Very impressive.
They played different tees than the men, it looks like, but just based on round rating, which I think is a kind of a nice way to do it, that would have put her at somewhere in the lower 20s in open out of 40. Yeah. So not a bad weekend for Jennifer Allen.
Certainly not. So congratulations to her. I think she had a little bit of a stomach bug is what I believe I saw her post on the social medias. And it clearly looks like she was able to maintain and get through it for the weekend and ultimately comes out victorious. So relatively small field, but like I said, still taking it down. What do we see in the age-protected divisions, Johnny?
Oh, this is what we're going to talk about now that we're all 40. So
yes, this is it.
Pro Masters 40+, Mike Hoover taking this event down by 3 strokes over Jeff Wilson and Jesse O. AU. So I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced. In the Pro Masters 50 plus, Jeff Myers winning by 4 strokes over David Neff and a few more over Dan Ginley. And then I'll give the advanced guys some love because, we haven't got a lot of events right now to really talk about. So Mitchell Ramirez winning by 6 strokes. It was only a 2-round. He shot 994 and 1,004, so rating right at that 1,000 level. Second place was a former local in Lee Semke. So congratulations, Lee.
Lee Semke, who I'll be seeing in a couple of weeks, also signed up and ready to go in Maricopa.
Advanced women, Cassandra Caperon wins this event over Maddie Rausch and Sandra Martinez. In Amateur Masters 40 plus, Joseph Wolf, Amateur Masters 50 plus, Bradley Bryce, Intermediate, James Russell, and that's all we got.
All right. Well, very cool. So that's what we saw. Shelley Sharp, I believe, is 144 competitors or so taking place. What the one thing I am missing out on, and maybe somebody can chime in on the board, hole 18, what we've seen in years past out at Shelley Sharp for hole 18, which kind of starts not quite underneath that bridge, but off in that direction that plays back toward the normal hole 1. Hole 18 of previous years was hole 1 this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm not sure where an additional hole was added, and maybe, again, someone on the board can enlighten us, but what's typically hole number 18 became the starting hole number 1 for the weekend. So just when everyone, like myself, I go out there and I see one configuration and set of numbers for like the Phoenix Ladies Open, and then if you go out there and play in like their Friday night glow doubles or any of their other regular league, they have kind of a different configuration. And then there's the Vista XL configuration, but that's going to get all shifted by at least 1 digit. So I'm not really sure where or how or what they did, but Vista having a slightly different look this weekend. So so if someone can enlighten us, I'd love to share it with how that exactly is getting played out. And I'm going to have to assume...
Well, it just says 18 holes for men, so...
Yeah, which is correct.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm unsure of where an extra hole is in there. We have to assume, with how it was played this weekend, just like last year, that was more or less the testing ground or the scenario for what we're going to see as the Disc Golf Pro Tour opens up in 6 weeks.
Yeah, first week of March, so just about 6 weeks.
Yeah, last week of February. So yeah, we're looking at about 6 weeks. Pretty crazy. So, and 1 week less than that for Vegas. Crazy.
Wow.
Looks like we had a couple of women's only events out there as well, Johnny. Anything to report there? What were the numbers on those?
The numbers on these for the Texas Rose Open in Irving, Texas, it looked like they had 25 total players. Open women, there was 2 competitors, and it looks like I'm going to mess this up, but Vlora Pashka and Willow Sky Breeze. You think her parents are hippies? Willow Sky Breeze.
No, I don't think so.
Being a disc golfer and with that kind of name, I don't know. So congratulations to those 2 women and all the women who competed in that particular event. And we also had the Jewels of the Blue Ridge out in what was that? Hendersonville, North Carolina. That event had 25 total players as well, and open women Ruth Hudson winning by 15 strokes over Donna Barr.
To follow that up, also in talking about the women's side, one thing I was a little bit surprised by, and I'm not sure where she's at, and I don't want to sound creepy by guessing even, a little bit surprising that maybe we didn't see Katrina Allen competing out in Arizona, and I'm not sure if she's out there.
She could be in Minneapolis or Minnesota visiting family.
Well, and to follow that up one step further, her travel mate, as announced a couple weeks ago, I think we talked about, and working on the camper that they're pulling, Austin Hannum. I reached out to him very late in the day as just kind of a shot in the dark of possibly getting him on as he finished second this weekend at the Shelley Sharp, and he unfortunately had to decline. Totally understandable with the 0 lead time I gave him, and he said that they're pretty busy and working on the camper and getting ready and such. But so we saw Austin competing there, So I was kind of surprised to not see Katrina playing out at Vista, but maybe they're not in close proximity. So,
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of chances to
Phoenix
get
Ruger
Austin.
Redbird said that Kat was there and was spectating. So she decided just to sit this one out, not get her year started just yet. So
taking that little extra break. It's nice when you can do that.
All right. I got to make a quick plug again. Just 2 weeks from now, we'll be heading out to the Samui Swine Classic 6 presented by Dynamic Discs. I was just taking a look at the registration. I know the assistant tournament director, Luke Butch, has been working really hard on trying to get more and more players out there, get a little bit more international flavor and competition out there. And as of right now, I see that our 3 highest rated players are guys that I believe are no stranger to going over there and competing. Nico LaCastro, Philo Brathwaite, and Devin Owens, all listed right now as your top 3 competitors.
Devin's been there before?
I'm not sure on Devin.
Because I know the other guys
but
have, but I'm not sure about Devin. Okay.
So seeing
I'm
Nico
sure you could
and Philo,
click on his name and look last year and find out if he was there.
Oh, that's like a click away. Who's got time
for that? That's at least
that?
2 to 3 clicks away.
Yeah. I can't do that. But super excited to be heading out, and we'll be able to give you more as the Thailand adventure unfolds here coming up. One of the other big things, as I see out on the board too, really a big part of the news this last week, or a big splash, we saw disc release not only become available, but also pre-release and pre-sales and then, regular sales. We saw some Ricky Wysocki Raptor legs, stock stamp destroyers, and then obviously a lot of the hype, as we've been seeing with the Jomez videos released over the last few weeks as well. A lot of hype over the 5 new Disccraft signature discs that are of Paul Macbeth's.
The Luna in the Jawbreaker and rubber plastic mixture. They're going to have to come up with a clever name for that.
Sure, it's got some special blend mixture.
Some special blend mixture. We have the Undertaker, the Zone, the Buzz, and the Force. Yes, I was going to say that. I second-guessed myself, so I held off. Yes, the Force. That was the other thing Terry and I, when we got together this week, did. We went through some of your... Not only did we sign all the Patreon discs, but we went through your stash of Macbeth discs, and I had ordered some through you, and you kind of had you have a small stack next to you over there, kind of hiding off camera of stuff you brought in, and we went through and kind of looked at some of the discs, and I got to get my grubby fingers on a few of them, so it's,
they're gonna totally change my game. Hoarding collecting game.
Your hoarding collecting game?
No.
Yeah. I'll say this: of all the discs, I'm most interested in myself trying the Undertaker. I think that's one that will suit my game a little bit better. But the Buzz is the one that feels the most interesting to me. I'm a big fan, always have been, of the Buzz. I've always been a Z Buzz thrower, but I did have a first run FLX ESP Buzz way back in the day, which I really loved because it was more flippy. So I guess these swirly ESPs are a little less stable than the Zs, so that might fit into a little bit better of my game. Currently, I'm throwing an EMAC Buzz SS for that right now.
Well, those are some of the new ones. Also, as mentioned by Chris here, Innova has released the Corvette. I don't know a lot of details. I know it's like somewhat secretive on one of their factory stores, which never, as a vendor, excites me when there's this weird exclusivity to certain discs. But they have yet another disc that's come out as well. And every situation's a little different for how they can be. If they're sometimes a new disc, and this could be by any company, if a new disc comes out and there's some exclusivity into selling it, then maybe it's going to a specific fundraiser for a specific event. I think back to Super Rocks by Innova were only really produced as special fundraisers for various worlds and such. So, but this one, I'm not sure had any of that attached, and it was just kind of a unique release through one of their stores. And so you'll have to excuse me for not knowing all the details or hunting them down for that reason. So, but more importantly than all of that, we saw those releases. I'm going to grill a 4-time world champion. We've seen some new releases on the trilogy side I've seen posts. I know West Side, Dynamic, and Latitude, I think, have had some releases. I see all their players out there throwing them. So in just a moment, when Johnny clicks a magic button, our four-time world champ sitting in our digital green room is going to join us.
Yeah, there's a little...
Is there a hold up here?
There is just a slight hold up, apparently.
I stretched that out as long as I could. You just had to click the button. You just had to click the button.
I know. Well, it's not taking in the video. So hold on. Hold on 1 second. Paige, I'm going to hang up and call you right back, okay? All right. So we're just going to make sure that this works real quick. Because what happens is, and this is a Skype thing, it's really goofy. It's supposed to send a signal to my system, but it doesn't always, for some reason, want to do that. It might, and I don't know why. So here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm just going to close Skype and open it back up.
I'm also seeing on the board, as Johnny McCrae has posted, a Gatekeeper being one of them that's been out there. We'll see if Paige is up to speed with all the new ones. I wouldn't blame her if she's not.
I heard her on the Disc Golf Answer Man today. Some other podcast. Yeah, she was guest starring. I don't know.
Oh, see, we make her our featured guest.
I know. Robert was actually the featured guest at the Disc Golf Answer Man. It was a little awkward.
I believe that.
But let me do one little test here to make sure that things are working.
I love it when you...
I know.
Johnny's just leaning over, making sure we'll get it all to go.
I have to actually see something.
That's all right. Recoil, Pioneer, Guard, Gatekeeper are all new trilogy discs. So thank you, Disc Baron. And I said it earlier. Thank you, Disc Baron, as a huge supporter. I know at Worlds you stepped up big time and were a huge supporter of us. And I know you are of everything that we're doing here. So we really do appreciate all of the support.
All right. Everything looks like it's working now.
Oh, and the Vandal. Holy cow.
Yeah, they had like...
Raider?
Yeah, the Raider's coming out later.
I can't keep up with them all.
I know. The Raider will be out soon, but we'll
all
see.
Right. With that, coming all the way in from Croatia, she just flew in minutes ago. Besides that other podcast, this is her first stop. Paige Pierce, how are we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
We're great. We're great.
We're so happy to have you back.
Thanks, Terry. I want to hear about your trip too.
Yeah, yes. Australia was awesome, and thanks to some of your recommendations. When I mentioned something about possibly going to Thailand, you just emphatically you're like yes, go. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks as well. But so
nice.
When did you leave and when did you return?
I left on December 10th, and I got back yesterday.
Wow. And what are the flights like? How many? How long are they each? Was it really messing with your sleep schedule or not so much?
Yeah, definitely. So the first couple days in Spain, we had a hard time waking up even before like 2 p.m. And also in Spain, their eating schedule is really weird. So they don't even eat dinner. Like the places won't even open until like 9 p.m. So we missed dinner a couple nights. But yeah, so the flights were, I think I went from Kansas City to Boston to, I don't know, so long ago.
Yeah, it's almost a month
Amsterdam?
ago. Holy cow.
Or somewhere
Okay.
in Europe. I think it was Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to Spain.
Wow. So now you are definitely blessed in the sense that not only did you have a very skilled photographer, videographer, partner in crime, but Alyssa Van Lannen is very well traveled already, right? I mean, was she almost like a helpful tour guide travel agent along with you at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, especially for the Spain part. She lived there for a few years, and is fluent in Spanish. So anytime we needed a communication tool, she was there, and she ordered every meal for us pretty much. I didn't talk to any waiters, so but yeah, she just also very experienced. She's traveled every single different way. train, bus, car, plane, hitchhiking.
Yep.
I don't think her dad knows about that one, so might not but yeah, so it was quite easy on that front.
That's awesome. Now, I don't need a day-by-day breakdown, but kind of give us, how long were you in any given area, and was it mainly sightseeing until you got to Croatia, or what was kind of how did it break down for you guys?
So the Spain part was just kind of supposed to be a vacation, but I figured I couldn't go the whole time without disc golfing, so I looked up their disc golf clubs and found Disc Golf Park Mijas, which was close to where we were flying into, and I messaged them, and the course owner, Ville, he was super, super receptive to us coming and was like, let's do something, let's do a clinic and a challenge round. And so the day we flew in, he picked us up, and we did a clinic, and I did a 1-round challenge, and there was people from everywhere that came out, from Finland, from all different parts of Spain, and one guy from Germany even, so it was really cool. And then just kind of sightseeing for a couple weeks, and then as soon as we got to Croatia, it was pretty much work, I guess, if you want to call it that, but it was just, the whole trip was just really fun.
So we had you on shortly before you guys went, but the premise was to assemble, or have this opportunity for everyone to kind of assemble as a group and experience golf and non-golf. Break down kind of how that, what was happening on like a daily basis for you guys once that all kind of got started.
Yeah, so as far as the disc golf tourist trip through Croatia, it was exactly that. It was 9 days, but there was also a 6-day option, a 5-day option, 3-day option, all that. So there was some people that were there for the entire 9 days, but other people that kind of came and went. The first day we got there, we met everybody at the hotel we were going to be staying at for the first 3 nights, and kind of shook everyone's hands. We did a toast and a živali, as they say, cheers, and just kind of like said our hellos and stuff, and then we walked nearby to a restaurant, and you don't know what to expect when you have all these strangers from all over the world and a bunch of different languages being spoken, and different ages, and different skill levels of disc golfers and stuff. We had people from Slovenia, Germany, Hungary, America, Croatia, all over. And within, I would say, before the appetizer even came out, people were just laughing and singing, and we taught them row, row, row your boat. And we started singing through the restaurant, and people's shoes came off, and people started eating with their feet, and next thing you knew, we all had inside jokes, and we were all like best friends, and that was only night 1. And yeah, so then pretty much day by day, we just kind of woke up, met at breakfast, all ate breakfast together, and if we were doing anything in that town, we would do it right then. If not, we would just get in the van and drive to the next spot and do some disc golf activities, or do any sort of event that Maya and Dinko had planned. They were the ones that kind of headed it all up, and they had our every single move planned out for us. So we had to do no thinking, no meals we had to even order. The food was already ordered for us and paid for, and all the different things that we did, all the museums and the sightseeing things were already paid for. So it was kind of stress-free, just kind of go where they tell you to go and have a good time, basically.
Now, what was the average group size? I know I saw 1 or 2 pictures in the van, I believe. I believe it was a van. But what was like the average group size? Did it, and how much did it fluctuate?
We had 13 people for the most part. And we had 2 different cars. We had one big van with most of us, and then the Slovenians, there was 3 of them, and they lived Slovenia is really close to Croatia, and so they just drove their car and followed right behind us. And we actually, we, I was under the impression we were going to have a big bus, and this was going to be the case if we had a big crew. But since we had a smaller crew, it was kind of nice because we all really got to spend a lot more time together. But since this was the case, we didn't want to rent a big bus, so we just got this van. So in that case, these 3 people couldn't fit in the van, so we downloaded walkie-talkie apps, and we're just like talking the whole time, as if we were in the same car. So it was funny.
Then they wouldn't feel left out. That's very, very gracious of you guys. I mean, what a awesome experience in that. I know you fully embrace the the culture and the community and disc golfers and everyone else, but these people had essentially access to you and your knowledge on and off the course stuff for all of these days, and it obviously was a relatively intimate setting. I mean, what an awesome experience for everybody.
Yeah, I kind of joked about that on the first clinic. I think it was either the second night or the third night of the trip. And like I said, at that first dinner, people had their shoes off, and we were like actually. Let me elaborate a little bit because that sounds weird.
You weren't eating from someone else's feet, were you?
It was weird. But next thing you know, we had some bet going on with who could eat this tiramisu without their hands, and people were, feeding each other, and feet got involved and weird stuff. So anyway, when this clinic started going on, I was standing up in front of these people who I really considered like friends of mine at this point, and I've known them for 2 days, and I just felt like weird. I don't know. It felt really weird because I'm like giving a clinic to like my good friends, it felt like. So, I told them to sit down, and some of them had beers and coffees and stuff. We did it inside a restaurant because it was just, informal, just amongst friends kind of. And it was one of my favorite clinics I've done. I think another thing that was huge about it was that we all were bonded together because of the sport. We're all disc golfers, and we all are super passionate and in love with the game, but it wasn't like the basis of us hanging out, like we all just enjoyed each other's company. And yes, of course we played disc golf, and people were like, let's go throw today, let's go throw. But it didn't really come up in much conversations. So it was cool. It was cool to have that balance and still bond with them over disc golf when the time came.
And as you were started with, the fact that you have such a diverse group, so many different people, so many different nationalities, and there is so much more to that trip than just the disc golf, and that's clearly what you guys, it feels like you jumped right into. You celebrated that diversity, you celebrated the companionship and everything else outside of, okay, I'm going to throw my deputy on this line and it's going to turn over. And that's great that obviously golf was that central thread originally, but it clearly became so much more than that, which is awesome.
Yeah, and as Zach says on the board, it's amazing how close you can get to people when you know you're going to be in small quarters with them for so long. You can really let your guard down a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were sleeping in different rooms, but we were pretty much roommates for 9 days, and you get to know a lot about a person. And this is how I travel year round, and I got to experience it with a bunch of other people. So it was cool to have people be able to see how I live any given week of the tour.
Yeah, and you were even almost a touch outside of your regular comfort zone in that you always have your van with you, which is, a good portion of your life. So you always have that as like a safety net or a comfort zone. But here you took that tourist mentality and had to, you were somewhat still even displaced doing that in another country. So it's probably a dumb question, but what's on the agenda for next year? Is where are you going to go? How is it going to be similar or different? Is next year a lock to go somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I made it clear. Well, so after everybody left, we were still with Dinko and Maya, and we had like lunch and said goodbye. We did an escape room even, and just kind of had like a recap meeting, if you will,
Mhm.
and just like how we thought it went, what we think we would do different. Um, you know, talks about next year if we want to do it again, and I think Alyssa and I were both on board that we would love to, and so were Maya and Dinko. I think that they were absolutely perfect to host it. They were super, super, super helpful in every way and very insightful. And it was nice as a player and as, a pers- hmm? someone
Participant.
participating in this, that I didn't have to think about the every single move that I was going to make, that they kind of told us, okay, now we're going here. And I didn't even look at a menu for 9 days. And this incredible food was just delivered to me. And not only that, when you go to a restaurant in America and you have to order and then you have to wait for 30 minutes for the food to come out. When we showed up, the food was being brought out right then, and they greeted us at the door with their little Croatian drink of choice, and yeah, it was just amazing. But I think that they did such a good job that I would want to do it again through them. And they even mentioned, if we do want to change up the location, we can do somewhere else. Like, we're willing to go other places. And so right away, I feel like that's what I would say, is that I would still go with Maya and Dinko, and maybe, we could throw it up for a vote or something if somebody wanted to go that didn't get to go this year, if they want to share their input or something like that. But Croatia was incredible, and I think it was super nice to have two locals share their love for their country, and it was incredible. It
So
was super beautiful. The food was great. People were great. The culture was like unlike anything I've ever experienced. So yeah, I don't want to say that we would only ever do Croatia, but um, it was nice. I don't know. Well, we're gonna have some talks for sure.
So how did I'm sorry, your hosts are Maya and
Dinko.
Dinko. How did that relationship start? Was that through, did Alyssa happen to know them, or are they disc golfers as well, or how did that relationship even get started? And who envisioned this idea, you or them?
Yeah, Maya is a disc golfer. You'll actually meet her in Thailand.
Oh, okay,
So make sure you say hello.
okay.
I met her in Thailand actually last year,
Ah,
and then again in Vegas. And she reached out to me via email and said she had this idea and it sounded great. And we just kept in touch via email for a few months, and it started coming together more and more and more. And um, really, that's all that there was to it.
awesome. Now, what was it like uh, for you to be experiencing New Year's Eve in another country? So many hours ahead of us all as well, but you get to
Yeah.
experience New Year's Eve in another country. That's not something a lot of people get to do.
Yeah, it was really cool actually. So the place we were for the first 3 nights, um, it was a small town in Croatia called Motovun, and it's where we stayed was like in the base of this little castle. So in a hotel though, and you kind of like go up this brick road, and it's super super bumpy. It was funny because we sat in the back row of the bus, and like as we were going up this road, everyone's heads would bob like in rhythm together, like all three of the rows in front of us, and we were laughing at it. But side point. Anyway, where we stayed for the first 3 nights, which was when New Year's happened, um, it was a smaller hotel, so we had every room full, and they it's a husband and wife that own it, and every day at like 7 or so they would leave, and so it was basically our house. And in the lobby there was like a kitchen, and this whole kind of just big room that was our living room. And we put some like strobe lights up and like put on their like their sound system, and we just kind of threw a party right there, and we played Cards Against Humanity and just like putted a little bit and danced and just laughed. And then like about 11:45 we walked out into the middle of the castle, and they have this little courtyard area, and Dinko and Maya had put a basket up there earlier, and we all counted down at midnight and putted threw a putt right at midnight, and we all went kind of close because we wanted to make our first putt of the year.
Yep, I was gonna ask. Okay.
Yeah. So, and we got all of this on video. So Alyssa's starting to work on the video now. It should be up in the next couple weeks, hopefully. So, it's 9 days of pretty much, I would say, 14 hours a day we were filming pretty much. So it's a lot of footage to go through, and just so many good things, like jokes and like just random things that are just so funny happen that we're kind of wondering how we're going to cut it down to one video. So we might have to do a couple videos.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing
But
wrong
yeah,
with having a 2 or 3 part series.
Yeah, a little mini series.
Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see how it's coming, and what we just absolutely can't leave out. There's a lot of things on this video that I can't wait to see, and for you guys to see. It was a really good trip. I couldn't say enough about it, honestly.
What and it's totally a random side note, but what was the male to female ratio? How many, and were there couples, or were they significant others? Like, what was kind of the makeup of the group in that sense?
Yeah, so there was me, Alyssa, Maya, Andrea, Moitza.
Now you really painted yourself in a corner.
What'd you say?
I said, now you're going to paint yourself in a corner if you're going to try and remember every name.
No. I would say half and half. And then as far as the couples, it was mostly couples, actually. Okay. Yeah, but there was a couple singles for sure. Mostly couples, I would say. But
the only reason I ask is because we're right around that time where we've seen like Mike Barnett along with Sun King and his wife and all the organizers on that side. I think about the disc golf cruise, and whether obviously there's singles and couples that go on that as well. And yeah. I'm thinking of similarities and differences. You leave out of Florida and you travel not that far as you just did, but just thinking about how people can look at some of these trips as you've just explained it, when it's not all disc golf, when there's natural tourism built into it that's outside of just talking golf all day, or centering it completely around golf. And I think of the disc golf cruise in that way. You get off on an island, you play golf for a day, and there's a few clinics and such, but it's really just a great opportunity for people to get together that have a similar love, but that doesn't have to be the sole focus. And obviously,
yeah, exactly.
That's why I was kind of wondering what the makeup of this group would be for you. And you'd have to assume, especially after the videos come out, after you've talked about it, you can only see this idea expanding and getting bigger probably every year.
Yeah, I would think so, honestly. I mean, especially after they can see it with their own eyes. I can tell you as many things as I can, but until you see it. So I think that was a huge part of having Alyssa there, as opposed to, in addition to her spirit, was what she captures. And I think that when people see it, they're definitely going to want to join next year. And yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, there was 4 singles and the rest were couples. So it's definitely not something that's like catered to either one. And it wasn't ever like that we did couples things so that, if you're a single, you can't come. It's not like that at all. But yeah, we pretty much actually the entire time from waking up to going to sleep, we were as a group all together. If you didn't want to come to one of the events that they planned, then you didn't have to, of course. But you already paid this one set fee, so why not take advantage and get everything out of it?
So I saw something on social media about the trip, about some story about the Northern Lights that you you almost missed them or you didn't.
Oh yeah, but this was not in
Oh,
Croatia.
That was as you were wrapping up the trip somewhere else, or no?
Well, after Croatia ended, Ellis and I went to Iceland for a few days.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at a map and I'm like, wow, Croatia, not that far north, but I could see how maybe, I mean, we get some in northern Wisconsin at times, so depending on longitude and latitude, it's hard to tell. But okay, so I didn't realize you guys went to Iceland afterwards. That was
So tell us about that.
That was really fun. I went this past summer and it was absolutely beautiful, but quite the opposite in the fact that it was light about 22 hours of the day. And so this was really cool because sunset lasted for hours, because as soon as it set, it was pretty much starting to rise again, and you got a view of just endless sunset pretty much. It was golden hour for hours. And so it was the opposite this trip, as it was a winter. It was dark for about 19 hours a day. And so we really, really, really tried to take advantage of those 5 hours that it was not dark. But when it was, we were just eyes peeled for the Northern Lights. And they have an aurora forecast online, so it kind of tells you like your likelihood of seeing it, and based on the conditions and stuff like that and your location. And the one night that it looked to be the best, we set like 6 alarms and we're like, all right, we're gonna see him tonight, like we're gonna see it. And never did. And then I was so sad. This was like the entire point of the trip. I was so excited to see the Northern Lights, and I was like, it's okay, they'll always be there. I just gotta come back. And we had to go to the airport in the morning, so I didn't even bother with setting alarms and checking or anything like that, especially because the aurora forecast was at 2 out of 9. So when it's a 9, it's like, get outside, you can't miss them. And went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night and looked out the window and saw nothing but stars. Like we didn't see one star the whole trip, and it was just like completely covered in stars. And so I was like, wow, I gotta go outside right now. And we couldn't see it with our naked eye, but Alyssa took a long exposure shot, and I don't know, like, you guys know about long exposure?
Yeah, vaguely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she had it on 30 seconds, and so when you click it, it takes 30 seconds, and then it also takes maybe 10 or 15 seconds for the camera to process the image. And so we're just staring at the camera screen because all we can see is black and stars and the camera screen. And it pops up, and we just start freaking out because the whole screen is just green, just completely green. And so we look up again, and we can see like the difference in the color of black, but we can't actually see green, but we can see that they're different shades in the sky. So we just like moved the frame a little and took another one, and there was no green. And we look up there and there's no difference. And so we're like, okay, obviously that is Northern Lights. It's just a little too cloudy or something to fully experience the color. But so I guess we didn't like get the full experience, but it was really cool. Just, I don't know, just the excitement of not knowing what was going to happen, and then just hitting that button, and the camera's like, it is there. You just gotta look a little harder.
It's out there somewhere.
That's right.
Like aliens.
Yeah.
Did you see any UFOs or anything?
No.
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 Laugh
Is that
at me
known
like I'm
for?
crazy.
Is that known?
A little bit.
No,
So
I did not.
dare I say you come back from all of that, which obviously sounds amazing. You come back all from that, and back to reality a little bit, back to, U.S. disc golf life a little bit more. You just get back yesterday. What's on your agenda? You were on some other podcast today, but what's on your agenda? I saw you post and say, "Oh, season starts in 5 weeks. Maybe I should start practicing or getting ready for it." But what do these next few weeks look like for you?
Well, I'm in Emporia right now. My best friend, it's her birthday today actually, and she is due to have her baby in 8 days. So I'm going to be there for that and then kind of help out, but also really just like meet the baby and be there for a huge moment for her. And kind of, before that happens, just do a lot of stuff with the DD Media crew and put out some videos and just kind of get prepared as far as like business things go.
Okay.
And when the snow melts, definitely get some hard reps in on the field. But I might not be able to wait until it melts. There's like 6 inches of snow on the ground, but I need to start getting it together.
Well, Johnny and I were just talking about that
You
this
need to come
weekend.
up north, apparently, because up in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, we haven't hardly had an inch of snow all winter. We
Really?
we might get some next week, it looks like, but it's middle of January, and it's kind of ridiculous looking at everybody around us to the west, or to the east coast, to the south. I mean, everybody's getting snow but Milwaukee at this point, to the point where they've actually pulled courses because without snow and warm weather, you tear them up.
Oh, I forgot that y'all are in Milwaukee. I just ate dinner in Milwaukee 2 nights ago.
What?
Or 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, yeah.
Oh my gosh, and you didn't hit us up.
I'm sorry.
Were you at the airport?
No, I flew into Chicago and Alyssa's dad picked us up and spent a night there, and then on our way from Chicago to Two Rivers, we stopped in Milwaukee for some dinner.
Yeah. Should have said something.
Yeah.
Could have had the nice home cooked dinner.
You should go. Yeah, but it's one of our favorite restaurants that's there. It's called Movida. You should check it out.
Movida.
It's like a Spanish tapas place.
Okay.
And just being in Spain, we already missed the food, and we were like, all right.
You wanted to.
Yeah, you're in Spain, and you're like, let's get back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
where we got the tapas.
Yeah, where the good food is. I totally understand that. And that's what we were noticing this weekend. Obviously, Emporia getting just pounded with snow and everywhere down there. And then we're like, we don't have any of that. So it's interesting.
I'm fine. They can keep it.
Yeah, that is all right. So practice, is there really a good place for you to go, anywhere indoors there in Emporia? You can't really throw too much in the warehouse. I mean, you could putt anywhere, but that's about it, huh?
Right. Yeah.
They doing the marksman leagues over at like
of.
Brickyard or anything like that? No, they were doing marksman leagues over at the Granada.
They were last week. Yeah. They totally were. I mean, putting for sure. You can find lots of indoor spots, especially here in Emporia. But as far as indoor driving, I don't really know that that's the case. But I'm definitely going to head to Dallas and also to St. Louis before tour starts. So, I'll find somewhere definitely. But I'm not scared of the cold, and I just got back from Iceland, so I'll probably just go out tomorrow and just deal with looking for my discs for a while.
Yeah. Would you? I suppose I think of the snow, and I think that we're all too familiar with the challenges of finding discs in the snow. But will you go out to like a Peter Pan and practice out there? Will you go to a country club? Where will you go? Will you go to a course even, or will you just go out and find a place to throw in a field?
Most of the time, I like to not start on the course because I don't like to keep score or like even finish out a hole like I'm throwing from tee pad to basket. I don't like to keep score during any sort of practicing. It's just more about, getting more familiar with my discs and the angles that I can throw each disc on and the amount of power I can put on each disc. So I will definitely go somewhere with trees so I can still see the line and challenge the technical part, but probably not a course as far as like from tee pad to basket. But that being said, all the land here that you could throw a disc pretty much has a basket on it in Emporia.
That's
so
true. Yeah, you stand
I'll
pretty much
definitely
anywhere in Emporia, and I would say within 5 throws, you're probably going to be at a basket somewhere if you're in Emporia. That's a pretty funny way to look at it. Will the Vegas, I think of the National Tour opening in about 5 weeks now, will Vegas be your first tournament of the year, or will you pick up a B or a C tier or an A tier or whatever? Will you do anything in between here and Vegas?
So part of the trip to Croatia was 3 clinics, 2 tournaments, and a couple other disc golf things. But so yeah, I played one the last day of the year, and then I played one on, I think it was January 3rd or 4th or something like that. So I've already played 1 tournament this year. And then I might play the winter warm-up in Texas, but I'm not positive on that yet because I can't really predict a date that I'm going to be back with the baby coming soon. So my plan is to play the winter warm-up and then head out to Vegas. But if nothing else, definitely Vegas will be my next one.
So that begs the question of your touring schedule. Is it look similar to years past? Is there anything that's maybe new or shocking or that has won your attention or your heart over in terms of, yes, you're definitely getting to this tournament for the first time, or you're finally returning to some area? Is there anything like that that would kind of be surprising or out of the ordinary for us to know about?
Mm-hmm. I'll be going to the Portland Open for the first time.
Okay. Yes.
I'm not sure yet. I really haven't made my schedule in its entirety yet. I signed up for a few tournaments just actually a couple days ago, but I don't have the full schedule set. I think I'm going to kind of be a little more conservative on the tournaments that I do play. I don't want to just fill the weekends just because, it's close by or whatever. If I don't really feel the desire, I'm not going to do it. So there's going to be some weekends that I'm not playing, but more so like making appearances at like stores or doing clinics or some kind of like luck of the draw or something like that.
Now, I know you've just been out of the country, so it's not like you're entirely out of the loop, but this off-season, in case you're unaware, has been bonkers. I think the kids still say bonkers.
What happened?
Just
we've had a little bit of everything. We've had media news, we've had player migration news.
Yeah, lots of new sponsorship adjustments.
Tons of discs being released.
That as well. Just a lot of things going on, mainly sponsorship adjustments. Just as recently as today, Discmania had, or should I say Nate specifically had announced that he's with Discmania for at least 2 years through 2020. He signed a multi-year deal. James Conrad came off any form of social media break he previously was on and announced that he's again throwing with Innova. So some, of course, no one's moving. There's some places where situations where no one's moving, and there's also situations where there's been huge developments. You're obviously where you are and presumably quite happy and comfortable. But have you talk with any of the other players that have made big moves or thought about it, or was there any real surprises for you? I mean, these are all the people you see every weekend.
I was very surprised about Kevin Jones. Not that he was moving, but his decision on where to go. I think it could have went anywhere, and it seemed like not the first choice that I would have assumed.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like he was quite courted. Like lots of people were certainly after him.
Yeah.
And ultimately he chose Prodigy. Okay.
That was my biggest surprise of all.
Last week we had Sarah Holcomb on the show. I think there was kind of some already rumblings and conversations about Sarah, now for a little while, talking about moving over to MVP. So we've talked to her about that. And then, as we kind of talked about earlier in the show, Paul Macbeth maybe not so much as the news isn't Disccraft, but then seeing this release of all these discs and making quite an impact on the Disccraft side of things. So pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Paul's gonna, sway some sales for sure. So I think it was a great move for Disccraft, and I think it's a good move for Paul as well.
Yeah, it will be. He has certainly already created a stir and an impact, and then some over on Disccraft's sales side. That's for sure. As he talked about all of these new discs, or the line coming out, and then the new prototype putter. So pretty crazy to see. Dynamic discs, and we kind of opened the show, and I was talking about some of the new releases, and then I know from the multiple brands over within the Trilogy family, there were some new releases there. Are you even up to speed on all of those new releases? Are you going to be throwing any of them this week to try them out?
Yeah, I believe there's 6. I believe there's 6.
Okay.
And I've thrown 4 of them. The other 2 I'll definitely be throwing tomorrow. When we were in Sweden this past summer, we were at the warehouse and they had them for us to try out. And I really loved them, honestly, all of them. There's not really a disc that I don't think is good, though. But for me, is it going to be in my bag? A lot of them, probably not. I have my bag developed already, and there's just not many things that I need that I don't have. But the Gatekeeper is very appealing to me. So I might be at least testing it out further to see if it's going to take the place of a certain mid-range in my bag. But other than that, I don't really see myself bagging any of the other ones. But that's not to take anything away from the discs. They're all actually very incredible. I really love them all.
No, I think we find that a lot of pros are like that. Very rarely does a new disc make a bag. It usually takes, we'll say, at least a year or two before. And most top pros will take a brand new disc and put it in their bag because you guys do have a developed bag. It's why you're top pros. You don't really have holes that you need filled unless you're with we'll say a younger disc company where we've seen some of them show up. So it's but it's interesting. I really want to. I'm looking forward to the Raider. My understanding is I was talking to Robert McCall just real briefly.
I actually haven't thrown that one. That's one of the ones when I first got on the show, I heard you say something about later to the Raider or something like that, and I didn't even know about that one, so I'm going to check that one out tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's available yet. Maybe you guys have access to it, but from my understanding is Robert McCall was saying that it might come out later this year. So if you do, let everyone know how it flies, because that's, from what everyone was saying, maybe just a slightly more stable trespass or just slightly less. I forget.
Oh, I think you're talking about the recoil.
Maybe. I don't know. There's so many of them now, but yeah, I don't know. I love my trespass, and
I'm pretty sure you're thinking of the recoil, but I could be wrong.
All right,
There's
Jason.
so
Jason on the board is being super helpful as always. Thank you, Jason. Says the Gatekeeper's numbers he believes are 4, 5, 0, and 2.
I don't even see a board. How do I see that?
It's better you don't.
Don't get on the board,
because then your mind starts wandering, and then somebody says something that doesn't make sense or does, and then you.
Okay.
Our pro tip is always, whenever you're interviewing with us or anyone, just ignore whatever's going on a board, because it only distracts.
Our resident disc professional, disc golf nerd, says that the Raider is supposed to be between a trespass and an enforcer. That's the idea, at least. Okay, so
the Raider is.
Yeah, the Raider, Raider, like the football team, the Raider.
Huh.
So I don't know.
That's how I heard the recoil be described to me today.
Well, so there you go.
Perfect. I mean, it's
buy them all, everyone.
That's
buy
right.
them all.
I'm sure one will have a slightly faster speed or a different rim or something.
Of course.
Everybody makes something that fits everybody's hand. So
yeah,
one way or another.
All right. Yeah, we had this discussion earlier today during the podcast about different sized people and hands. So
that's interesting. So spoil it. Give us a little. I mean, normally we ask for exclusive news and information, or maybe even better yet, you could just spoil what was all talked about over at the Answer Man today. Anything crazy going on over there? Those guys Did they hopefully get some good answers out of you about some stuff?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different of a podcast than this. This is just kind of us talking and hanging out. The Disc Golf Answer Man's more of like fans' questions that we just answer. So, yeah, Johnny V was on the board over there. He's just said it. We were talking. One of the questions was about, so, being 6'8". Some guy was like, "Yeah, I'm 6'8". Is this gonna help me or hurt me?" I'm like, I don't know. Johnny, what do you think?
Paige is like, I don't have that issue.
I was like, I couldn't tell you, but Germ doesn't like low ceilings, so maybe that's gonna.
Yep.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Germ, speaking of some of the events, I think about events like the Worlds, doubles championships. Do you see yourself, you mentioned a few minutes ago about, where you may take time off or where you may relax or focus on other things, like some of the luck of the draw events. Is there any other events outside of the sanctioned tournaments that you also really look forward to? And I think of like, I know the doubles is technically sanctioned at Worlds, but those types of things, any of those other fun or, exhibition type events, what are some of those that you really look forward to?
Yeah, so I really like the whole concept of champs versus chumps. I love with dynamic we're bringing back the dynamic duel.
Yep.
And we just set one up for the memorial with AJ Risley and I versus Paige and Zach Milton. So I'm excited about that one. That'll be fun. There's already a group message going on with a bunch of trash talk. And my favorite events of the year, well, besides Worlds, but my favorite events that I'm not playing in are the junior tournaments. And so I actually just spoke with Matt Graham yesterday and confirmed that I'll be going back to the U.S. Juniors this year. So I'm super excited about that. It's really fun to watch the kids and like their passion in this little tiny being, and like how much excitement and power and just their professionalism as like 8 and 12-year-olds is just, it's like little humans, like little Benjamin Buttons, I swear. But it's really fun to watch. And also, of course, I'll be at Junior Worlds in Emporia. So, and then, yeah, I think there's
There was
going to
like
be
a
a few.
team camp tournament did you end up playing in that back in, or were you?
Oh, yes.
I think of one like that, unsanctioned, but it was a team event in Texas, the camping event where everybody camps and has a good time there. I mean, those are some of the maybe not quite as intense, but certainly events that you look
they're
forward to.
pretty intense.
Okay. Well, intense in a different way.
I'm not really. I haven't had great experiences with team sports in the past.
Okay.
I just get a little bit too competitive, and I like to make friends. And when team sports happen, I tend to get a little bit too aggressive. So you too?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Like even casual volleyball. It's like, hey, let's go to Thursday night volleyball. I get frustrated when I don't see someone putting all the effort that I feel like I'm putting in. And you're just
I'm at like family kickball events, and I'm like, Grandma's
Timmy,
never
you're
gonna
out.
have me.
Go sit down. Bring in cousin Jim.
We played kickball a couple years ago, and I drilled a kid from across the field. I got him. I was like over by third base, and I nailed him running to first. Almost took his legs out from under him, and I wasn't sorry. I was happy. I was like, I nailed you from across the field, kid. I understand that feeling.
Nice. Yeah, but honestly, so I was a little tentative on going to this team camping event, but it was so fun, and I'll definitely be back every year. It's super, super fun, and it gets very intense. We were returning or defending champs this year. We didn't end up winning again, but we came at it pretty full of trash talk. We brought a megaphone even so that we could make our voices heard across the course.
Wow.
And the location's awesome, and just everybody there is really just trying to have a good time, and yeah, it's really fun. I like events like that you just kind of can let the pressure go away, and all the thoughts about your score, and just kind of have fun.
Yeah, well, and I think about hopefully, I would love to be involved if you guys host it. I'd love to see the dynamic doubles taking place over at the U.S. Women's. That's kind of become a staple the last couple years. As we're going to head out to Virginia for in September this upcoming year. So all of those types of experiences. Hopefully, we'll see more of those. Now, another thing that's been happening again, not just while you've been away, but everyone's hashtag van life. Everybody, I mean, obviously Paige Bjerkis, grabbing herself a van and is getting that all done up. We also saw Lisa Fakis now has herself a van and is going that route as well. Seems like that's becoming just more and more common. Tips, pointers you wanna share with the world as you've adopted that strategy a year or two ago?
Yeah, I would say to check freecampsites.net for good places to park for free. That is a huge tip,
Okay.
I would say.
Anything on the van build itself?
Anything on what?
On the van build, on the build out, whatever you want to call it. Is there anything specific, like if you could redo or had to adjust or fix anything or do it again? Is there anything about your van build out for yours that you're like, oh, I wish I would have done more outlets or less or put them here or anything like that?
We thought of all those things, like the outlet placement and all those things. It actually was a little bit too much for me. I thought I was just ready to hammer the stuff out, and my dad and stepdad were like there with rulers and pens and like brainstorming every idea for hours before they would do it. So most of that was really well thought out. The only thing that I would say that I wish I could redo is where I placed my fan. I put it right in the middle of the van, which I thought was a great spot. But that is not where the bed sits. So sometimes, like it being in the middle of the van, that's about where my toes are when I'm sleeping. So my feet will be a little cold, but I'm like sweating up by my head. So I've started just rotating and sleeping with my head this way. But if I could go back, I would just put the fan closer to the back, maybe even put 2 of them in there, because touring during the summer, it gets quite hot.
And now, have you done? You didn't do any solar on there, did you? And is that something you would consider? Or you don't really probably need a lot of electricity in there. I mean, do you?
No, I don't really need that much. I definitely would consider it. I just don't really need that much. It charges as I run the van, and sometimes we're remote for 3 to 5 days, but my battery lasts pretty much about 3 days. So if it's ever more than that, I'll have to run it for a minute. But really, that's the only time I've really considered the need for it. But yeah, I don't really use too much electricity. I don't have a kitchen in there, so we just use the propane stove. And yeah, I just really don't use enough to need it.
Fair enough. We saw on social media, Tina. I know who does all the real work in that household for starters, right?
Yes.
Tina was replacing. She said she made multiple trips and replaced the sink in their RV this weekend, and so obviously she's the handy woman in the household, which I think we all knew. But great to see that posting out there. But you don't have a sink. You're not worried about that stuff. How long before we have 24 vans out on the road? I mean, do we have a dozen? What, 6, 8, 10 already? Are we gonna have 2 or 3 dozen out there?
I would assume so. I think it's kind of silly to not have one. I really wish I would have done it sooner. Honestly, there's no point of having a car. You're paying rent and your car payment in one, so it's also, it's just like super, super, super helpful to have everything you need with you at the course at any given moment. It's really convenient and super helpful. And, if it's ever raining while we're warming up, I can just run back to the van, grab some other layers, or just wait out the rain, grab some snacks. after my round, I can just go sit on my couch and either celebrate or
Commiserate.
just lay there with my face in my hands and
So how
Yeah,
in the
it's
world
nice.
are you going to follow up a 2018 opening where you went undefeated for months? How are you going to follow that up here in 2019? Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am. I don't necessarily think I'm going to focus on winning the tournaments more so than just like playing each round as best as I can. I think that the tournament wins will come alongside of that, but I made it a goal of mine to just be more well rounded. I don't want any part of my game to kind of overshadow another part. So I think when most people think of my play, they think, wow, she throws far, but I don't even want that to be a thought. I just want it to be, wow, she's really good. And no part standing out more so than another. So just to kind of be more well balanced. And I think in doing that, then my rounds will be better. And in that, I'll have more success.
What do you feel like? What's your weakness? Like, what is a weakness that you have that you are you can admit and that you want to consciously work on for next year? This year, yeah.
I think when I start to fall behind, I'll get a little impatient. And so if I'm ever down some strokes, I think too hard about making them back. And when holes start to run lower and lower and lower, I get a little bit more panicky and feel like I'm running out of time. And then it's less about throwing well as it is just this like overwhelming fear of not doing enough, kind of.
Okay.
So I would say that. I don't think any part of my game is a weakness. I think at times I don't execute upshots, or I don't execute putts, or I don't execute drives. And luckily for me, it hasn't happened too often where both of those happen at once. So I think just to kind of be more consistent overall. And I think my biggest thing that I struggle with is my release point. So just to kind of be more consistent on my releases, that's kind of my goals, I would say.
Okay, fair enough.
Small, but when they are corrected, it'll be a big improvement.
Do you ever think about obviously we saw your rating continue to climb and reach a new height that no other woman has ever accomplished in terms of her overall rating. Do you still think about a number? Do you have that goal of whether it's 1,000 or beyond in terms of where you can put yourself?
Yeah, that's still a goal. Like, goals don't go away. But I think that they can change a little bit, and obviously I have to adapt as I'm getting farther away from that 1,000 rating. So honestly, I just want to get it back to where it was. Really, I don't think that I'm getting worse as a player, so it's sad to see it numerically show that. But I think that that also comes with playing too much. Rounds stay on there for so long, and if I'm kind of tired and not super into the tournament, I'm not trying as hard, and I want to really feel that desire when I'm out on the course playing for rating and ranking and all these things. So
well, it is an odd number year, so for what that's worth to you.
Oh, say that again. I'm sorry.
It's an odd numbered year this year, so is that not in your favor?
Yeah, I hope so.
You seem to.
I think she wants to break that, right? You want to win this year and next year. Get that,
of course.
Yeah. Kind of take that off the table, because I'm sure you're sick of hearing it. Like, oh, it's the odd year for Paige.
I'm just saying this is a good year to get to start that breakage, as Johnny would call it.
Yes.
Get it going again this year.
I'm okay with this odd year thing. If it means I'm going to win this year, that's all right with me.
Exactly.
But then, yes, I'll try to break that next year.
I'm not. I have to say, I was looking at the schedule just a couple days ago, or yesterday even, when the junior event, the United States Juniors, and it was announced that you'd be returning, as you just confirmed here. That falls, that final days jumps out at me. It's my birthday. But what's more important, way more important than that, is the fact that I also know that the Rocky Mountain Women's is going to ultimately be on that weekend. So that's really discouraging, knowing that you have to miss one of the two amazing events that are going to be scheduled that weekend, and obviously you've committed to the U.S. Junior. So everyone in Colorado, including my daughters, will certainly miss you out in at that Colorado event on that same weekend.
Bummer. I did not know that. I checked the schedule and did not see that. So, but yeah, I definitely am gonna choose juniors still.
Yeah.
And we'll have Missy Gannon out there, I'm sure. So.
Yes. Another one on the tour. You were one of her biggest proponents in advocates for getting her on the team. I believe you presented her that opportunity just before she played her final final AM Worlds, final 9. And she also just announced full-time on the tour. We see a custom disc for her to help her efforts. Pretty awesome to see. More and more new players just keep coming up, and these are all women that have been admiring and looking up to you, and now trying to become your fiercest competitors. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually just checked the Vegas registration, and there's like 39 women or something. It's crazy. So it's awesome to see, and not just the number, but like looking at the names and who that I've seen playing intermediate and advanced, and now they're playing pro, or just names I've never heard of that I'm like, where are they coming from? And this is amazing.
Coming for you.
It's it's really cool to see the growth. I think it's a good time for disc golf, and it's really awesome to be a part of this growth.
Well, I'm going to put in a shameless plug as we're talking about the women in Vegas. I totally agree with you. I was looking at that amazing lineup, thinking like, this is one of the strongest, deeper fields we may see this year. Hopefully it's not the strongest and the deepest, but it's definitely going to be up there. And I've had a few conversations with the PDGA, and we're talking about, I know they have Jomez for MPO1 and FPO1. They're trying to expand past all of that. And there was a conversation about FPO2 coverage. So if anyone out on the board, knows of a potential company or club or someone that wants to additionally support some FPO2 coverage, that's what I might be trying to line up as well. Hopefully I won't see you there on FPO2, but if anyone wants to support it, please reach out and let us know, because we're going to continue to hopefully expand that coverage. And I know the Pro Tour is trying to get FPO2 coverage. I know the National Tours trying to expand into FPO2 coverage more often. So that speaks to the growth that you're talking about. There's a lot of really talented women out there that just need to be seen.
Absolutely. When you think about that, there's not just 4 impressive women that you want to watch play. Yeah. So it's really great to hear that they're doing 2 cards.
Yeah, that's the ideal plan if we can get support. And this is a great opportunity for anyone. If you want to see more disc golf coverage, you have to be supporting all of the companies that want to go out and make it happen, whether that's the manufacturers or the media crews themselves. That's how we're going to get more coverage out there for everyone. Last year, you did a little bit more of the commentary on the FPO side. Can I count on you for even more expanded Paige Pierce commentary when it suits itself this year?
Yeah, of course. You know it. I'm there.
What do you like or dislike about doing post-production or live commentary, either or?
Wait, I don't know if I've ever done live commentary.
No, maybe you haven't actually. I think at one point maybe when we were out in the field, I pulled
walking
you in
along
a little bit. But
yeah.
Nonetheless, you're right. Most of it is typically recorded, because usually you're live, you're featured. Commentary, is that yet another avenue you need to develop and explore?
Yeah, I think I really enjoy it, actually. I think it's kind of it makes me think of like basketball or football players. Like after their game, they go rewatch their film and they learn from it. And I totally find that it's you know, a lot of times after the round, you're either stoked or you're upset, and you realize, you know, of a great shot you threw or this putt that you missed that turned into a 3-putt, but you don't really like weigh what happened, where did it go wrong, what can I do better, and things like that. So in watching it back and kind of having to audibly talk about it, it definitely helps you just to, I don't know, shed some light on what was going through your head, and kind of lets the fans and everyone that's watching get a little bit of insight from the player's perspective. So I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's like almost like reprocessing it, or maybe there's closure, maybe there's you know, some other feelings that go along with it. And speaking of you know, reflecting, one question that quickly goes back to the travels: what would be the one thing that jumps out at you, or maybe that you would do slightly differently now that you've taken this Croatia trip? If there was like one thing you knew now that you didn't know a month ago, what would be, maybe it's something you didn't pack, or something you didn't buy, or whatever. What's the one thing you would do differently?
Oh, that's funny. So I definitely had everything I needed and then some.
So you overpacked.
We brought, I think, 8 suitcases.
Wow.
So there wasn't anything that I could have brought that I didn't.
Okay, so would you say you overpacked? Was that the lesson? Or no?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we were going to Spain, Croatia, and Iceland. So Spain is like 55, 60 degrees, and Iceland's like negative. And so, and then, you know, all the media stuff. I don't know if you've seen Alyssa's collection, but it's quite large. And then, you know, laptops and the ukulele and, you know, disc golf.
forget
I
the
don't go
ukulele.
anywhere without my ukulele.
Yeah, you gotta bring it, right? It worked out well for lots of group time sing-alongs.
Okay. I could maybe bring one along. I certainly couldn't play it. I'd have to hand it off.
Find someone who can.
All right, Paige. Well, thank you so much for all your insights, obviously, and as you said, we just can't wait for the video. It's going to be awesome to see. I'll echo Johnny's sentiment that if it needs to be a 2 or a 3-part series, I think of all those hours that you guys filmed, I think about the great editing that we've seen from you guys. There's no reason not to have that spill into a couple different episodes. If that's what needs to be done, I think the fans will like it and watch it. So
Yeah, well, I hope that you guys, you know, will let us know in the comments, because we are definitely doing this because we think you want to see it. You know, there's so much video of us throwing as disc golfers, and so we kind of wanted to let you guys know what goes on behind the scenes, and which we've done in our other videos, but this time it's also an opportunity for you guys to do it with us. So we wanted to document this first one for sure, so that you know what you could experience next time. So first will be the Mijas, because we went to Spain and we did the disc golf trip there, so that one's going to be coming out in a week or 2, and then the Croatia one will be after that. But yeah, when they come out, make sure you let us know in the comments what we could do better and stuff like that. But they are on youtube.com/Alyssa Van Lanen Images. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been fun.
awesome. Any parting shots? Any final things you'd like to say here tonight before we let you go?
No, just if you guys want, I didn't post this anywhere through DD
Exclusive.
yet, but I don't mind signing autographs while I'm in Emporia. So like this week, if you guys want to place an order, just make it in the order notes that you want me to sign your disc, and I'll definitely do that.
Sweet.
So you've got about
And
a
thanks
week.
for having me.
Yes, get your order in.
Assuming that baby doesn't come early, you've got about a week to get your Paige Pierce signed disc. I know Terry and I have been pretty regular at a marksman league this year, recently, and there's a gentleman who has a bunch of PP deputies that he just absolutely loves,
Nice.
and he's looking for more. So maybe we'll let him know he can get some more signed ones.
Yeah, he's already your biggest fan, though. He said he's met you a couple times out there on the road, and he says,
Yeah.
she's just such a sweetheart. And I said, yeah.
What's his name?
Tyler's out there.
Tyler.
Yeah, and he's a big fan and uses your putters. So you've already won him over. So keep at it.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, all
Thanks
right.
for
Well, Paige, of course, thank you. And also thanks to Alyssa and your host and everyone that helped make your experience awesome, because as you have those experiences, we all get to benefit from seeing the travels and everything else that you got to take in. So thanks to everybody involved. And it sounds like an awesome time, and hopefully we'll see more of those in the future.
Absolutely. Have fun in Thailand. Can't wait to hear about it. I'll send you some recommendations on some spots.
Please do. I'm looking forward to it. All right, Paige. Have a great
All
night.
right, bye. You
Good
too.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Four-time women's world champion Paige Pierce, and as if you didn't gather already with a few direct words or hints, she's a little quieter and subdued tonight as she's a guest over at a home. So at first I was like, maybe she's just really tired, but then I realized no, she's a guest.
She looked like she was in like a bedroom
yeah.
hanging out and just
trying to be mindful of her surroundings, which is very polite of her. So, but thank you so much to Paige. And as I said, kind of an extended thanks to everyone that make that trip possible, because we're all going to benefit and be able to see how it all went down. So very cool experience. I'm excited to hear what she does next year. I think that,
I mean, going back to Croatia could be really cool. As always, you could see more parts of the country maybe and this and that. But there's always some, I feel like if you have that opportunity, it would be so cool to just pick a new place.
I agree. And
it's so tough. I mean, she's been to Thailand. She's been to Croatia, obviously all over the United States.
Japan.
South America?
Finland, Sweden.
Maybe do a South American trip?
I think she's been,
Go check out Chile.
Yeah, maybe. So, and I remember thinking the same about thinking the same about the 2008 Japan Open. To me, that was an event I wanted to go to. And then I always said it was the most amazing experience. But if given the chance, or I had a limited option to go there or anywhere else, I always thought, yeah, I loved it there. And I would, it was one of the greatest trips and memories of my life. But it would also be cool to be able to take in a new place rather than returning. And then I found myself there in 2010 returning, but that was because I won free airfare, so I couldn't pass it up at that point. But it'll be interesting to see if she ultimately picks a new place, if they pick a new place, or if they return. Either way, it should be cool to see. What a great way to ring in the new year. And I did like the idea of being nice and close to the basket for your first putt. Make it
or
a tap
last.
in, or your last, or your first. But
or I think
either
it's
way,
chime in.
Make it a tap in so that you're for sure making it. That's a good way to kick off the year.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to like try to drop like a 30-footer,
yeah,
30-footer,
30-footer
like
to open the new year.
Jump putt or something. It just that wouldn't quite feel.
No, very awesome to see. So, all right. So as she said again, make sure you go out and if you're going to make an order of any kind for Dynamic Disc, and it doesn't have to be a Paige Pierce disc that she necessarily throws,
but throw
or
one
endorses.
in your basket, your cart anyway.
Yeah, but any disc that you purchase over there at dynamicdisc.net, I believe is the site you want to go to, you'll be able to find it and then put in the notes. You'd love to have a Paige Pierce autograph, or if you need to customize it and say, Paige, please sign this over to little Jimmy, the cousin you kicked out of the kickball game. Sign it over to Jimmy or whomever. I'm sure she will oblige. So, all right, very cool. And then off the board quickly, I saw something about when is Thailand. Thailand is I leave in 2 weeks and 2 days. So I leave on what will be technically the night of the 31st or February 1st, the early morning of that. Myself, Gary to the O, who normally sits right here and does the graphics for the live production stuff that we've done with SmashBoxx. Myself, Gary, and then Johnny Rumble, and many of you know Johnny Rumble as the gentleman that joined me for the Australia trip, he's going to be doing the same for this trip as well. So, and little secret, we might be working on something again with Zuka. We still have a cart to give away from Australia. We gave away one in Australia, and we still have another one to work with giving away here. And there may or may not be a Thailand tie to all of that too. So thank you to Zuka.
Awesome.
What do you got? Oh, so you looked up the
I looked up
the
Movida.
restaurant. Okay.
It is honestly. So look at this, Terry. This is where my work is. It is right here. So
it's like 3 blocks from where
it's
you work.
about 3 blocks from my office. So she came in. I sounded like she came in probably Sunday night. So we could have gone. I mean,
I don't think we were invited, but
no, I know, but
no, but it is pretty funny that it's just about 3.5, 4 blocks from your office, downtown Milwaukee.
Yeah,
we have to get there. I mean, it's Paige Pierce endorsed.
Well, yeah.
We'll just go in there and say,
do you think we're going to go there? We're going to see like a black and white picture of her signed on the wall?
We better.
Like a comedy club.
Yeah.
You go and you see everyone who's...
all the celebrities of who stopped in here.
Correct,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
We would love to see it. All right. I don't have a heck of a lot. I'm trying to think of what we saw on social media. Of course, we lightly touched on already the fact that the final installment, I believe, of the Jomez Building the Bag series, I think released yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, the mids.
I think he's throwing
last week.
I think he's throwing a Luna putter.
I don't know. He threw a lot of discs. No, it was funny because I did watch a majority of it. He went through just like the other ones and threw all the different putters. And after he was done with the putters, it like flashes to what was clearly filmed probably a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. Him at the Disccraft factory. I recognized it because I recognized the indoor facility where Nate and Val had filmed theirs.
Yep.
And he basically said, "You didn't think I'd forget about this," and showed some of the flight characteristics of the Luna and putting. And we've seen him on social media. It looked like at the Disccraft factory, and that was kind of tacked on to the end of the video talking about the Luna. You can only just assume that's what he's going to be putting with. So we're going to spoil the in the bag.
Oh, geez.
Which you'll probably get in a couple weeks, I believe, is what they said. An actual in the bag.
The making of the bag.
The 3-part making of the bag series, and now they'll do the actual in the bag, is my guess.
Well, at least they're not drawing it out.
Oh, not at all. marketing. To actually give you an idea of what has probably made his bag since he tested out all these discs. It is kind of funny listening to him pull out discs and just say, "Yeah, I haven't really thrown this, but I guess it's kind of stable." And then he throws it, and it stands up and goes like 400 feet. And you're like, "Okay, cool. That's awesome."
Okay, well, we'll see how that ultimately. I was just gonna say, I think we have a pretty good idea. I'm guessing he's gonna also be throwing his 5 signature discs primarily, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was any other. Paige briefly touched on the U.S. Junior event. We knew it was taking place, but also that Paige is going to be rejoining, which is great to see out there. Aside from my disappointment of it conflicting, Chris and the crew and Smuggler's Notch hosting the U.S. Juniors, Matt obviously, and all of those guys over at Kids Disc Golf, just looks like such an awesome event, and I'm just disappointed that I, for the second year in a row, have a significant conflict in that I can't be out there. But it looks like Paige and Alyssa will probably have all the media and then some under control.
Robert McCall says he missed Paige. He assumed she was going to be on around 11:30. No, Robert.
Robert.
We have priorities.
We have featured guest females, unlike you guys and the way you guys. Just giving you a hard time. Yeah, I don't think we have too much else in terms of news. That's all we saw. Obviously, the Shelley Sharp taking place. What's upcoming this weekend that you see out on the PDGA calendar? I'm trying to think if there's anything that has jumped out at me. I can say, as you're looking for the schedule, I know media talks continue. I've had a few events reach out to myself. Event reach out to Smashbox about the possibility of live. I know there's some other A tiers around the country that aren't necessarily involved with the Pro Tour, or obviously, or the National Tour. They're not an NT event, that are seeking out coverage. There are a lot of people clamoring about the idea of having some form of coverage. I know, and I'm not going to spoil any details, but I know Jomez was recently locked into a particular event that's, well, I guess probably new to their schedule. So I'm sure we're going to see that get released here soon. And that's kind of what's continuing to unfold, is people just getting locked in. There's no update on a media part 2 plan from the Pro Tour. I know some people have been clamoring about it.
No,
I reached out to Dodge today, but unfortunately it went right to voicemail.
I've heard they're still possibly in talks with Jomez. So
interesting.
we might be waiting on those to finalize, whether that's going to be lead card, second card, maybe something that we don't even know yet. I honestly, I don't know. But so that might be one of the reasons for the holdup, is they literally are still negotiating one way or the other. Who knows?
That would be interesting. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about what if Jomez will be involved, if a Central Coast, if the disc golf guy or anyone else is going to be involved, and what that's going to mean to the overall scope and magnitude of the Pro Tour's video releases and media plans. They're going to have the in-house action all on their channel. Where will it expand beyond that? I think that's what a lot of people are still, like myself, still excited to find out. I think those are hanging out there.
So as far as next week, we've got 3 B tiers, 2 of which are pro. The Savannah Open in Pooler, Georgia, where you're going to have your typical Southeast dominance. You've got Barry Schultz, Zach Melton, Chris Dickerson.
Probably a Schweberger,
maybe
a Ken Taberski. All come to mind as possibilities.
Zach Melton, Dan Hastings, Josh Childs. You've got those in the Open women. You've got Haley Childs. Pro Masters, you're looking at Schweberger, Michael Joe, MJ, who's, as we know, is starting to tour more. He's touring with Holly Finley. He'll be dipping his toe into the Masters field. I find it a little, I don't know. I find it strange for him to play Masters here, particularly when there's only a 9-person field and the Open is 23. He would be the second highest rated Open player. So I find that a strange decision, but maybe he's just kind of made this decision. Guess what? I'm going to go full bore into Pro Masters and not look back. I don't know. So
yeah, and that is also in the news, as we were kind of just talking about, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Holly and MJ had made a post saying, we're looking for a touring name, as the two of us have decided to tour together this year, and they were asking for a clever touring partner name out there. So, but that was kind of, I think I knew that was in the works, but with them officially announcing it, it'll be great to see them both out on the road in a much more, because that's what a lot of people have been clamoring for years, is saying MJ's awesome. Let's see him at more events outside of, he's always been a regional player, and then he dabbles in going to some of the big events, but we haven't really seen him like full-time event on the road.
As we've known, it's been so hard in the past. It hasn't been until the last really 3 years, maybe 4, that a pro who isn't Paul Macbeth or Ricky Wysocki basically can make a living on the road without severely hurting yourself. And now we've seen this big shift where players are getting more support from their sponsors, signing longer deals. We've seen Innova, who for everybody said they're a handshake 1-year deal, year after year after year. Guess what? That just got blown out of the water, because pretty much every player now on their team seems to be signed for 2 years. I haven't heard anything about Germ, actually. So
he also just re-signed.
Did he re-sign? Okay, I couldn't remember. He was the one that I couldn't place. But almost every one of the other players now is signed into a 2 or a 3-year deal. So other than Ricky, who's signed in for a 5-year deal. And now MJ with a Tour Series disc and additional, hopefully, support from Disccraft can kind of make that touring life a go. And, he's getting that AARP discount. So,
ouch.
In the Masters field.
Well, it will be awesome seeing him. And just like you're alluding to, it'll be interesting to see where he puts himself, and if it's purely a financial decision as to where he decides to play on any given weekend. If it's the Open division, depending maybe on the caliber of players, or if it's the Masters division, depending on size and caliber of players and payouts. Those are all things that have to get factored in. And when you're of that skill level, it's great that he's going to have these options to play around with. So it will be good to see. Very cool.
All right. So I believe that's really about it. We
All
can
right.
maybe get into some after show fun, do a little bit of talking, and
We'll do a little bit of talking.
that's
I
what
like
we do.
I like it. Well, there we go. I think that's all we've got here for tonight. I want to thank, of course, Paige Pierce for joining us and giving us a little recap. I feel like her recap was awesome in the fact that just as the trip was intended, it wasn't all disc golf. It was so much more about being a tourist and having that disc golf sprinkled in, that common bond among all of us. So I think it's great that they had that experience and were able to share it with so many people in such a diverse crowd from literally around the world. So thank you for the insights on that, Paige Pierce. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been the regular show of podcast 230. Stick around. We'll have some more ramblings in the after show. We'll bring you stuff disc golf and, of course, non-disc golf related. We'll chat with you from the board, answer as many questions as we possibly can, and we'll see how crazy it gets from there. Again, Johnny, Terry Miller, we'll catch you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 230 After Show.
I'm really excited for a couple of reasons, Terry. I feel like this podcast has been very much kind of, we talk almost NPR-ish. We were very subtle with Paige.
We had to match Paige's tone.
We matched the energy and the tone. We were really good. And now we're in the after show. Couple things.
I'm getting my drink on.
Get your drink on. You got me one too, right out of my downstairs mini fridge. One of the best things that came with this
mini
house.
bar ever. You and this water.
Because it's free for you. My wife, we've got a whole bunch of water over there.
Oh my gosh, killing it.
We've had a bunch, I think like 10 or 12 people sign up for our $10 patron status, which will get them a quarterly t-shirt. This year's so far being designed by Tim Courts, who was out on the board. Thanks, Tim. I know he's going to reach out to you as well, I think, to get some information. But I'm excited about that. So like I said, if you want to sign up for that, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. You're eligible for all the other lower stuff, lower tiered stuff, I'll say. And you'll also get that quarterly t-shirt. So I'm really excited. Fulfilled by Paragon. I had someone reach out to me and actually say, hey, can I advertise on the backs of that shirt? And I was like, honestly, I never thought about it. And
If their first name's Smash, their last name's Box.
and I said, you know what? Honestly, I'll talk to Terry. I'll talk to our patrons about it, because there is something. It would be something really cool to have, someone say, "Oh, cool, I got to sponsor that." It would be a little less money out of our pockets, but there's also the thing. It's like, this is a reward for our patrons. This is something that we want to give them because they are supporting us, and help give back to them. So it's really a fine line. I definitely wouldn't want it to be a NASCAR. No, you're saying no?
I love the idea. I appreciate whomever it was. I don't know any of the details. Whomever it is, I really do sincerely and genuinely appreciate the idea and even the creativity of thinking about that. I think there's other ways that we could probably get a potential advertiser or sponsor involved. I just feel like if this is a Patreon exclusive shirt that people are going to get, they're going to receive, I feel like having a club or a organization or a tournament or a gentleman's club, I think having any of those other establishments or entities than on a Patreon specific shirt, I'm going to give the hard no thank you, but I appreciate it anyway. But you know what they say, no just means not now.
Maybe later.
So I would say let's find another creative idea. I think that there's definitely some merit in the concept. It's just, I think we just find another channel or avenue or way to go about doing that. I would certainly be open to them. I just feel like on a Patreon,
I'm with you.
Reward-based shirt.
That was the way I was leaning, but I wanted to talk to you. I
answer questions here
privately, but you know what? I decided to bring it up. The other thing is for patrons. I have finally started a second podcast. It is, as of yet, unnamed. I was thinking going with something like you and I have talked about this.
Don't say something stupid. You're gonna turn them off.
Casual round.
Ooh.
Smashbox casual round.
Casual wear.
Casual round.
Men's warehouse?
Men's warehouse? No, that's definitely different.
Dress barn.
Yes.
Why do they have a place called Dress Barn? That's
just
another
you
story.
and I have talked about that.
I don't understand that.
It's basically, it's a podcast. AJ Risley was our first guest. If you're a Patreon supporter, you actually got a copy of that podcast to listen to, where we ask him, silly BuzzFeed questions and just generally dig a little bit more into the personality. It has very little to do with golf. It is all about the player. Tomorrow, I have lined up Hannah Macbeth. She's going to be guest number 2 for the show. And I'm going to reach out to a few of our other pros. I want to reach out soon to Jeremy Coling as well, and just kind of start digging a little bit more into them, getting some feedback from players on things they like and don't like and whatnot. And like I said, if you're a Patreon supporter, you have the first episode. For everybody else, I'm going to wait till I bank 3 or 4 of them and then start releasing them between that. So,
and following what your train of thought is, someone says just a casual smash. The new podcast was great, says Ryan.
Oh, thanks.
AJ Risley's father, so no bias there, said, I listened to it today. Fun.
Hopefully you'll learn something about your son.
And what channel will it be on? It'll be on the SmashBoxxTV channel.
On the pod. So here's the deal. I am recording a video of it.
Ooh.
But
saucy.
It is going to be primarily an audio podcast. I don't know if I'm going to put out video yet. I could, seeing as how I do record the video. It's just a little bit of extra work to more or less re-render everything and then upload it and all the tagging and all the other stuff. It's not too bad. But right now you can find it on the SmashBoxxTV, well, on the Patreon if you want it, but it will be on the audio feed through whatever podcasting app you have. And we'll see if it makes it to YouTube. If so, it'll be on our YouTube page, SmashBoxxTV.
So yes, if you're a Patreon subscriber, that is out there and available to you already. So props to Johnny V taking the lead and getting AJ Risley. I was just thinking or saying earlier today, can you name...
I'm good at trivia.
any disc golf personality, player, supporter, manufacturer, anyone in disc golf that has a more on-point Twitter game than your next guest, Hannah Macbeth.
More on-point Twitter game. I'll say this. I think there are pros that are, or disc golf entities even, that are a little more active on Twitter than her.
Okay.
But all of her tweets, they're right on. I like to respond to a few of them.
As do I from time to time.
She's very good.
Okay.
And
so
the funny thing is we don't have her on the podcast, so we don't talk a lot of golf, but I think she's in a really interesting position in the sport in that she can really go down two paths or try to combine them. She could be a pretty solid open women's player.
Mm-hmm.
She showed some real good sparks last year. Or she could really pursue a media aspect as she's, with the Worlds coverage that we did and then the USDGC coverage, she got tons of praise for both of them, rightfully so. And I think she could really pursue an avenue in that if she really wanted to. I know it sounds silly, but the world is open to her in as far as the sport goes. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next 4 or 5 years to see which direction she's pulled.
Well, and she's also, even with that being said, I feel like, is under a larger, more magnified scope than anyone else, because no matter what she says, there is an inherent bias, whether you like or dislike her husband, Paul, whether you like or dislike Innova or now Disccraft. Those are all things that immediately, I think, get factored into, rather than her 100% standing on her own accord. She has those obvious ties, so she may get scrutinized for something that I don't want to say has nothing to do with her, but someone, if you're not a Paul Macbeth fan, for whatever reason, on or off the course, immediately there's this inherent bias toward his wife. And I'll go ahead and say I feel bad for her in that sense, because there's probably a lot of unfair, unjust scrutiny. And she, with a post she even just made today, a tweet she said, she's like, I come onto Twitter, I post things, and then I log off immediately because I feel like I'm either
there's a lot of negativity
or bullied instantly, and that's just too bad.
Well, I don't, and
that's not just
the post I saw. I don't necessarily know if she was being bullied or that she saw bullying happening, is the way I read it. I don't know. It's really funny the conversation. I feel like we're talking about somebody and they're in the room because she's in the chat room and she can hear what we're saying. But
whoops, awkward.
I know, but she has no input on what we say.
She can tweet about it.
she'll tweet at us.
See it tomorrow.
Way to go.
I didn't realize she was out there, but nonetheless, I stand by everything I said. I think. Wait, what did I say? I don't know.
I stopped you before you were going to say something bad.
Okay, that's good.
Save that for the after show.
But anyway, that is an interesting position. But I first and foremost, I stand by her Twitter game for sure. So go out. You can find her. I think she's under Hannah Macbeth, at Hannah Macbeth or something like that. Some of the tweets. Some of the regulars out on the board. As always, Disc Golf Nerd, who we will anticipate we'll see more reviews of Disc. He's been kind of giving us some information and clarifications throughout the night. So good to see him. Matthew Gayton, good to see you out there. Scott, Country Disc Golf, is probably working on editing some videos, which I have updates for in a moment as well. Makers Telemark. So lots of different people out on the board that we always see. David John's back, or Jenny. Good to see you again. Video updates. I've got some great video updates, and as we get closer and closer, my excitement level grows. I worked on a particular final round amateur video that just needed graphics and commentary. I worked on that. That's going to be released within a few days. That was a project that I kind of just took on, I don't want to say for funsies, but a bonus project. That's going to be released any day now. Australian Disc Golf Championships, all that stuff has been edited. commentary is authentic Australian commentary, and that is being laid down. I believe 2 out of the 3 rounds have commentary now. Nantucket has commentary that just arrived in my inbox yesterday.
Woohoo!
So much stuff. So we're going through this mild drought of released footage, and now I'm going to have a ton of it, and I want to get as caught up and up to speed and beyond before I put out any 2019 material, and we're all on track for that. I have been editing my brains out, or polishing, or hunting down commentators, or all of the above. So look for a barrage of disc golf commentary or disc golf commentated post-production videos to be all released as these next few weeks roll on. 2 weeks till I head out to Maricopa. So lots of footage to come out in the next 2 weeks. It's funny when you have like 6 projects that are at 80% or greater, but not quite there.
Called finishing a project.
Yeah, well, it's called commentators. All right. What else do we have out on the board?
Listen, get a few drinks in me. I will come
Yeah,
over.
That's what everybody
We will commentate.
Yeah.
It won't be pretty, but it'll be entertaining. I guarantee that.
Okay. So, Disc Golf Nerd said, a shameless plug. If anyone is interested in the Luna, I posted a quick initial look video tonight showing the profile and talking about the feel. Luke, so go check that out. Luke Hainwall from Janesville, Wisconsin. Do you edit in Adobe Pro? The answer is yes. I believe all are, I know Country Disc Golf does, Jomez does, Central Coast does, and I do.
Jamie Thomas does.
Jamie Thomas does, okay.
I think
that's something we missed earlier. Real quick, shout out Avery's over in Taiwan, I believe. Is that what I saw? Taipei? He's over there somewhere internationally playing, or was playing this last week. So pretty cool to see Avery over there. And now I think he's traveling over to Japan. Okay, go on. Sorry.
I don't know where I was going to say. I do know that Disc Golf Nerd said he was going to review the Luna real quickly, and from what I've seen, it looks like a pretty straightforward thrower, but I will let him make that determination. What are you laughing at? You laughing at Robert McCall?
No, I'm laughing at David John, who says I can be a guest next week. I'll show up as Jenny in a bind.
Hey, you don't know how happy that would probably make Terry. It's weird that way, but
no, that's just funny. Bring back some Dana commentary. Dana will be on one of the projects I didn't even mention. Dana, I'm hoping once he gets all of his family things in order, we'd love to welcome Dana back for a little co-commentary. I've got something lined up for me and him, actually. And Robert, there's a piece of Nantucket that's calling your name on one of the commentary pieces that's not done. So let's get Robert McCall and Yuli. Robert, and there's so many great combos.
I did fill out a PDGA
survey?
Nope, not the survey. A form, a media form that lets me get access to media. I submitted something. I might make it to Las Vegas for the weekend.
Place your bets.
Place your bets. I might place some bets. We'll see. My goal or my plan, what I envision, hopefully, is to, if the PDGA and the powers that be allow me to be there, film the next available MPO card that isn't being covered with one camera coverage. Just kind of maybe work what I can, get some cool shots, do some shot by shot, have it out at a little bit of leisure on the Smashbox channel, and if probably early to Patreon supporters, as we like to do here. So that's what I would like to do, assuming everything works as planned. I've got got some frequent flyer mileage I can burn on that and make my way down to Las Vegas for the first time.
Yeah, Vegas Challenge, as we said, just 5 weeks away. Yeah, crazy to keep thinking about. All right, as I read off the board, Robert says he loves to talk disc golf with whomever, so we're going to get him on a little bit of that commentary for Nantucket as he was out there this year. Seth from Disc Golf Strong says, I hear Thailand is where all the digital nomads are moving. You're not staying more than 2 weeks, right? No, I am not. I'm staying almost exactly 2 weeks, or just shy of that. And I can understand that from what I've already heard, in that things are very, very inexpensive. So if you are able to work remotely from a laptop, and if that's how you can get the majority of your work done, and you want to live in a beautiful yet very inexpensive place, sounds like Thailand does make sense. I'm most excited. One of the things I'm not most excited about, I did have a quick conversation with Ian from Central Coast a night or two ago, and he recommended some parts of, or some components to Thailand that I got to make sure I take in. And one of the things I am super excited about is reserving our mopeds. I think we're going to be cruising 4 or 5 deep, all on our own mopeds on the island when we get there. And I think you rent a moped for an entire week, and it's like $30. So that's pretty exciting.
Shane Solomon is trying to get us to, he says, if we need a place to stay in Vegas,
Ooh.
let him know.
I've seen some sketchy stuff in Vegas. So I don't know. No, I appreciate that, Shane. I know you also had posted that a little earlier. So we certainly can reach out, and we'll see if we can connect. Sean Hillman says, you don't want to miss my Open Masters debut at the WTO. Excuse me, Wintertime Open. Sean, I'll be there. Just keep playing, and look for me. I'll be out there filming. Just kidding.
No, you won't.
Are there any updates on the Pro Tour media schedule? Hannah Macbeth asks. I haven't seen anything, but I haven't looked into it yet. At least she's honestly lazy. No.
Burn.
No, we kind of touched on that earlier. We have not seen or heard of any official updates. I said earlier, I reached out to Steve Dodge. It went right to voicemail, thinking his phone was actually off. It went right to voicemail earlier today. So Steve and I played a little bit of phone tag in the last week and have not connected. So no updates on the media side that I know of. You organize course repairs on local parkland in your club. How do you? Well, let me give a quick note on that. Make sure that if you need it, make sure you get the municipality's blessing. And here's where this has come to play from personal experiences. Some municipalities are totally cool. Say, hey, Joe Schmo and his 10 buddies can go out and do whatever they want. You're stewards of the course. We trust you. We like you. You're club people. Go do whatever you need to do. We're not worried about it. I would think a majority have a slightly stricter approach, which is, hey, you can do X, Y, and Z, but you can't do A, B, and C. And A, B, and C usually involve chainsaws, certain power tools, certain earth-moving equipment. So every municipality is a little bit different. There's liabilities and insurance and things of that nature. And that's where, or there's kind of a hybrid of those two theories or approaches, which I've seen in municipalities saying, hey, you can't go out there with a chainsaw and clean up the course and make necessary improvements, wink, wink, as in they won't give them the explicit permission. But if there were employees out there that saw you doing it, they may intentionally not stop you or turn their back or look the other way. So there are a lot of different ways that can be approached, but make sure whatever it is that you do, you know where you stand on those issues. And sometimes I'll take it a step further and say maybe get creative. If there's something you really want to do and it's kind of a larger project, is there an Eagle Scout project that needs to be accomplished? You know, does one of the club members' sons trying to get a badge or get their Eagle Scout thing bad? Is that a badge that you ultimately get? Blessing, anointment? I don't know. Whatever it is, Scout. Whatever it is. Confirmation. Maybe turn it into a community service project. Is there a friends of that park that has permission to be able to do upgrades? Does your club have that permission? Those are all, I know that sounds like a lot of potential
Every park is different.
red tape, but just make sure, because the last thing you want to do, organize 10 buddies, you're all out there with a chainsaw, and the next thing you know, the sheriffs show up and you're getting issued tickets, because it's something that extreme could happen. Is that a good answer, Johnny?
That's a fine answer.
I'll take it. Here is the YouTube video from local Charlotte club. Check it out. David John is posting on there. Our city won't let you do anything, but definitely won't stop you from improving things, JT O'Brien says. So there's kind of what I was just also mentioning. And then installations too. I'll take this one step further and say I was at Ruffy Lake in Australia, and they are somewhat strict as to, like, if they literally wanted to put in a T-pad or put in a paver that denoted where a T-pad was, like, it sounded as if some of their city employees were really up to speed with what was going on. I feel like every municipality is different in that sometimes you could go out to a course and you could line up 5 park workers, and the 5 of them combined couldn't tell you where 9 baskets or 9 T-pads are on an 18-hole course. Then you go to other places, like the one I work with in southern Wisconsin, where that guy could practically recite the GPS coordinates of every basket and of every T-pad. So they all vary in terms of how hands-on they are, and then that's what kind of you have to sift through when you're looking to make an improvement or adjustment or whatever. Plenty of places could go out and just put in a new sleeve and the Parks Department wouldn't know or care. And some places like, what? You cut too many blades of grass, while you were trimming out there. We're suspending you. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Team Howell says, JVD, when does Fantasy Money League sign up begin? Is it 20 this year or a different amount?
200.
I'm going to stick with 20. It seems to be a nice, really even number for everybody.
So is 22.
Well, 20 is like a single bill. 22 is not a single bill.
They can only pay digitally, so what is the difference?
It's just, it's really nice.
Burn!
Oh, God, you Miller! I'll probably keep it at 20. Yeah. There might be an option for other people to start up their own for more. I'm not going to stop anybody. I need to reach out to my web developer again this week. I reached out to him last week where he said he has things started and he's hoping to take the next 2 weeks to hopefully implement them. I will probably start taking money in early February for that. So once I get an early plan, he even asked me, he's like, is the site live? Can I just work on it whenever? I'm like, just do it whenever. Nobody's on it. We're good to go right now, so nobody's going to miss it if it happens to go down. So, do we need to do some?
Oh, we got Patreon giveaways to do.
Giveaway?
Someone, thank you, whoever won our AGL disc a week or 2 ago, reached out. I did get the message. That's going to all be part of the giveaways that we're doing, the Patreon Smashbox ones for those supporters. So the kids are assembling boxes and everything should be going out yet this week is the plan. Any junior, hey, Carol, who I was just talking about, Ruffy Lake, which you can now tour thanks to Carol and her daughter, Evelyn. There's a video out on YouTube. So you can go take a look at what Ruffy Lake looks like, and you'll also see it when I put together a little video for it. But Carol asks, any junior disc golf coverage planned for 2019? I would say your 2 best bets, most likely, as of right now, will be for sure coverage at the United States Junior Disc Golf Championships, which we just talked to Paige about. Her and Alyssa will probably be putting together some videos, and then maybe they'll have their on-site gentleman, Alex, put together some video. So I think you're going to see action from there for sure. And then I will, again, be involved with being at the Junior World Championships in Emporia. And so myself, along with Dynamic Disc and their huge staff and crew, will be putting out videos from Emporia. So those are the 2 that come to mind immediately off the top of my head. Will there be more? Hopefully, maybe, but those are 2 that I can point to immediately. Ryan says, why do you got to schedule Skyline the same weekend I leave for GBO? Just leave a day later. It's that easy. Leave on Sunday. Solved. You're welcome. How do you feel about Clemson getting McDonald's?
I was going to skip that question particularly.
I was just going to say, like,
because we don't usually get political.
I know. Can we touch on it without getting political?
Sure. Well, the situation is we're in the middle of the federal shutdown, so a lot of the White House staff is furloughed, and they had to feed the incoming national champions.
Do they have to feed them?
No, they don't, which is funny because there's a bunch of there's an old Packer who was joking. He's like, we didn't get anything when we came and visited the White House. And so they chose fast food. I tend to lean more left. I think this is hugely blown out of proportion. Whoopity-doo. It looks a little silly, but honestly, there are way more things we can worry about. That's kind of how I feel about this particular subject.
Wow. No love for federal government workers.
But no,
I'm kidding. I know.
I want everyone to have a job.
No. Yeah. It was interesting.
It's a funny picture.
It is, and I had to think about not until I then obviously read about it. I was wondering if it was somehow requested, and then obviously I got the full story about the food being purchased and the credit taken for it and all that other stuff. And yes, it is, needless to say, it is a funny picture that all of that food was purchased. And
I think two things about that. One, how no Taco Bell? Or I was thinking like a Chipotle or Qdoba where it's all heated, so the food is still warm.
Sure.
Because I heard like they got there, most of the food was cold.
Well, because
you order it and bring it in,
and it's probably got to go through all sorts of security or something.
Yeah. So I think that's the big crying shame here.
Yeah, is that it probably all was very cold.
So that's when you go with pizza. Cold pizza is good. I had cold pizza the other day.
That'd be one way to do it. All right, a couple weeks ago, you talked about a disc golf game to play with 5 people instead of doubles. That was called Wolf. You can look it up. It's not specific to disc golf, but Wolf is the name of it, and that's where you can get all the rules.
The quick version is, real quick, first person, you rotate who tees first every hole. First person throws. They have the option to call Wolf if they think they're going to get a better score than the combined rest of the group. So if you park a 400-foot hole, you don't think the other group, everybody combined, best shot is going to beat you, you get 4 points.
You declare Wolf.
Yep, you declare Wolf. You get 4 points. If not, you pick, as someone throws, you pick if you want them as your partner. And then it's you 2 against the other 3. And then you just rotate through the course. You collect points that way and figure out a way to make it worth money. Yes, you can play a Wolf with any amount of people. It just
five is it feels like the optimum number, because anytime you have an even number, you likely would flip for doubles and have an even amount of doubles team or people for doubles. So 5, for whatever reason, you just play Wolf with 3 people.
You could.
Yeah, anyway. So 5 is kind of the optimum number for Wolf.
It's not very fair when you call a partner and then you're against the other guy.
That's my point. David John says, why does Madison pull the baskets in the winter and we get to play in the mud? That you just answered your own question.
We shouldn't be playing in the mud.
You said, and we get to play in the mud, and that's exactly why. And we're an international podcast, damn it. So let's I'll break this down. In a place like Wisconsin, we experience usually a legitimate winter and then usually a spring thaw. So it goes, the ground is very hard and frozen. And then as it softens up, whether that's late February, sometime in March, sometime April, whatever it might be, as it continues to soften and the weather gets nicer, that's when the non-diehards of disc golf jump out on the first 45 or 50 degree day and they get their they take off their shirts and get their flip-flops out, and they want to come play disc golf. And then if the baskets are in at that point, whether that's in sometimes March or April, that's when the course gets destroyed, because most courses in most places at that point have become now a mud pit. And Wisconsin is very proactive in removing the baskets. Some of them will do it as a precaution when they're not frozen. They'll do it in October, November, or whatever. And some have said, no, it's not doing any damage to the course when there's snow and the ground is fully frozen. So we're just going to do it at our first possible chance, come February, come March, or whatever the case might be, before we have a lot of those mild days. So that's like the mentality. So it's not crazy to think you could show up to a course in Wisconsin and, on any of those given months, and baskets may not be there. As tough as that is to experience when you're a new player or you have a favorite course that you live right near and that happens, it is for the greater good of the longevity of that course. It makes perfect sense. It is selfish to think otherwise, and it makes perfect sense. I would rather have a course be near pristine or in great condition for 7 to 8 months out of the year than to have it trashed every single year and have that course get beat down and eroded and washed away and hardened and ruined years faster than it should.
A perfect example is when a couple weeks ago, a bunch of buddies and I went out and played Wolf, and it was 2-on-3, and there was probably a 50-foot putt. They wanted me to go last because I have it was a little windy. I have a more direct putt than the other two guys I happen to be playing with. And I gave just a little hop putt down this hill, and when I landed, it was just enough of a slope where I slid, and I took up probably 6 inches of grass that I just turned into a shoe print mudslide, and I fell on my ass, and I was covered in mud on my hands and up on my sleeves. And so at that point, I thought, oh gosh, had I been thinking, I wouldn't have done the little hop and then in turn the slip and the fall. But I obviously thankfully I was fine.
You made the putt though.
No. I blew over the top of it, actually. And the other guys were under it, and I ran at it hard and went over the top and was probably about 40 deep. So that's why we do it. We do it to protect the grass. We do it to protect the course. We do it to protect the trees, even. I mean, it does nobody any good to go out there and just tear up the grass specifically. It's because once that's torn up, it takes forever to regrow because you can put,
do not walk
signs or little spots, but people still do it because there are disc lands there and they step there and they kill the sod or whatever grass is trying to grow. It never works out as well as we hope. So best to be proactive than reactive.
So for those reasons, and it's not to say we don't have mud, but for those reasons, that's why you see some of the courses pulled. And Alan Risley says Wisconsin is anti-mud. We like to limit it as much as possible, and certainly when you're fresh to the game and you just want to go and play, and there's 3 50-degree days for the first time in months in a row, and you want to go out there on March 15th, 16th, and 17th, and 2/3 of the 350 Wisconsin courses aren't in the ground. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of sympathy. You should probably be practicing something else anyway. So
practice your putt.
Yeah, there
indoors.
You go. And to follow that final point, just to drive it home before I step off the soapbox, don't go play the damn course when the baskets aren't there. I think I've said this on the show before.
You have.
But don't still go out there and be like, well, there's not baskets, but I really wanted to play, so we're just going to play the course. You're doing the same damn damage. Damn damage. Don't do it. Like, the point of the baskets not being there is so you're not walking around on the property ruining the course. And just because the baskets are there doesn't mean you're doing any less damage.
Let's do a Patreon giveaway.
Okay. Do we want to have Yulia join us tonight? The after show? He's bagging.
Can we push him off till next week?
I mean, I asked him, and
I mean, if he really wants to come on and talk about his performance, that's all right. But I mean, we're already at 11:23.
Hey, I mean,
I don't mind if he comes on. Clearly.
We can have him briefly. We'll see if he is available for a quick catch up.
If he is, cool. If he's not, that's fine.
I don't care.
So anyway, what are we giving away this week?
Oh,
Terry?
what should we give away?
How about all of your Paul Macbeth discs? All of them.
First, the over-under. I think Disc Golf Nerd had asked that a little earlier, multiple times, as to how many Paul Macbeth discs I have or will be putting into the vault. And the question was, will I put 100 discs into the vault, over or under on the total of 100?
I think actually into the vault, under.
Okay, you're wrong. I think when it's all said and done,
because
no, I don't think. I know when it's all said and done, more than 100 will just get stashed away, with no real intent of moving or selling or doing anything with them. until Paul has gray hair and is playing Masters.
Now, you ordered 25 apiece.
Oh, I ordered more than that.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. I was under the impression you ordered 25
I mean, yeah,
of
that's
each
what
mold.
I ordered.
Okay, I was going according to that number.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So if you ordered more, yeah, then definitely the over.
Yeah.
I was just thinking you ordered 25 apiece. I took five
each. So I'm
five
down
each.
to 20, so I have exactly 100.
And
No.
then you were obviously going to go above and beyond and sell some. But if you ordered more than that,
Yeah, I ordered double that.
oh geez, there was double that in your living room there. Oh, I don't think I noticed. I didn't really count.
So
Is this where our Patreon money goes?
I wish
That would be
No,
great.
That'd be great for me.
I would then need to get some. So no, that's
Yeah.
not where. Well, maybe that's where his some Patreon money
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
unfortunately
just
not.
reinvesting back in your future, guys,
Yeah,
so I can sell these to you for 10 times the price.
So no, not normally. Our Patreon money does not go. I didn't tell my wife how much those discs costed. So she just knows I came back from Terry's house with 2 bags full of discs, and I put them right in my little closet down here, and that's where they're gonna stay for a while.
We're gonna switch it up. In fact, and I didn't. I'm sorry. I thought I brought it down here, but I didn't. I have a little care package. We'll call it that. It was more like a part of a player's package available, and we're gonna switch it up. We'll go with Innova. Disccraft didn't give us anything to give away. Well, nor did Innova, but I've got some Innova stuff, including something to keep your feet warm.
Ooh.
So there's your clue. There's your clue. Along with a couple other little things I'll put together in that pack, valued at least at that $15, $16, $20 level, whatever it is that we always are giving away. So much good stuff. So that's what I'll be giving away as the Patreon giveaway for tonight.
All right. So if you'd like to be eligible for this Patreon giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and join the over 200 other patrons that help support this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So many nice people.
The people we love the most.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 208 people that will be invited to wherever I go.
Those are my friends.
Those are my friends. I just talk with them every once in a while. No, I don't really. Anyway, 208 is the number.
And it's the 3rd podcast of the year.
So we're going to do 3.
Yeah, let's do 3.
All right. That sounds great. The first number is 165. The second number is 86. And our winning number is 180.
How did you sort them tonight, Johnny?
They were sorted by column G. I forget what column G was. I took a random column. So
wow.
180 is Zachary Swanson.
There's a new name.
Zachary Swanson, thank you very much for being a Patreon supporter.
Wow, sandwiched right between two of our
Yeah.
most vocal supporters, Zach Pajic and Alexis Munoz.
Yep.
So you guys both are losers.
Zach
in
is the
this
winner.
contest.
That's a nice way to put it. You two guys are losers. The guy between you is the winner.
Yes. But great names that we very much appreciate all of you guys.
So Zach, you'll be getting something. Maybe it will come along if possible with your exclusive
Ooh.
2018 Patreon supporter disc, which
Yeah.
Terry and I signed and we're filling boxes for, and hopefully he'll get those out and about relatively
yeah,
soon.
those hopefully will be in hands by maybe even next podcast.
Ooh,
We'll
that
have
would
to
be
have a little
awesome.
fun contest for you guys to take a picture with your Patreon supporter disc and get it posted. Show everybody else.
Yeah,
how you,
I guess
how
you're
they
gonna
could get
need
one.
those addresses and
Yeah,
stuff. So
I
should
think I
probably
do.
I should probably send those to you.
If you want, I mean, I could just drop them in the mail with no addresses.
Just
I'm
put
not,
names on them.
I'm not. Yeah,
Please
this one
get this
goes
to Zach.
Joe. Here's Zach in Michigan. Please deliver. Do not bend.
Good call.
David John, I think, had asked earlier, how do I feel about disc raffling for more than face value? I don't know if you said face value. I mean, we can go with the old adage, a disc is worth whatever someone was pay for it, but I don't really care. I feel like that is so much of, well, obviously eBay and the Facebook sales are so much of just a flat out free market. Like, whether it's called a raffle or an auction, you have to go to your keyboard and type in things to become part of it.
Here's what
So if you don't like it, assuming none of the rules are being broken or the rules are illegal, if you don't like it, I don't participate is I mean, I think a really generic way to attack that.
Here's what I don't mind. Something like what Disccraft did. They made these discs available to everybody. There wasn't any sort of weird, only this person or this company or this online reseller is going to get them. They made them available to everybody. And if you're going to turn around now and resell them at a greater amount because it's got an awesome stamp or it looks like some crazy overmold, but it's not, and this and that, I got no problem with that. People are willing to pay that. What I don't like is when a limited amount of discs are sold to a specific retailer or outlet, and then they turn around and sell them at a greater cost because you didn't give everybody a chance the first time. That's what kind of bothers me. And I know it happens. We've seen it with the different factory stores that'll turn around and have them, and then people will snag them and turn around and resell them. It just it feels like it sucks for some people. I would rather at least give me the chance to get them at the cost they are, and if I don't get them because they sell out, or if I don't get them because I didn't want them and now I want them later, that's life. But ultimately, it's kind of the backroom handshake games that go on sometimes that I dislike.
You're saying some of the exclusive releases, so to speak, or the limited releases? Is that maybe a way to put it?
Well, because let's just say Innova sells 100 specific discs to Infinite, and Infinite will then could go and sell them for any amount they want.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? I don't know.
Well, if there's only 100 available, and your point,
I'm sorry, 100 might be a low amount because
but to your point, you're saying if there were literally 1,000 retailers that could pick up these discs,
and that's through Infinite because they're one of my favorite ones and I know them,
and they sponsor us.
Yes,
shout out.
Thank you.
No, but you're saying if there's 1,000 retailers that could purchase these discs,
mm-hmm.
and 1,000 retailers are selling them, I'm
cool with that.
You're fine with that. But you're saying if only 2 retailers got, say, all of the access to the discs, that's where you're saying, and they jacked up the prices.
If they jacked up the prices, I don't mind when. I know it sounds silly. I mind less when an individual turns around and jacks up the prices on, like a Facebook or something like that. I really would hate it to see a reseller turn around and jack up prices over the manufactured suggested price due to scarcity.
Yeah, and that's all part of.
Mm-hmm. Like the Tour Series discs, they're always going to go for 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever they go for these days. I'm cool with that. But they shouldn't go for more than that. Your and not that they would, but your Innova factory store shouldn't be selling them for more than that. Well, because that's the thing. And then later turn on like, oh, no, they're really worth this much. Now, that gets into a whole nother thing because if Innova's selling them for something, then maybe that is the price, but whatever.
David John, we're not getting defensive. We're just explaining
not at all. Like
various positions. I am personally a really big fan of, or totally fine with, if somebody purchases a disc and then they want to try and resell it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you put it, and I feel like auction is the most hands-off approach way possible to that. If I put up my phone and I put it online and it's truly worth, by all accounts, it's worth $150 because it's a 2-year-old Google Pixel, but it gets bid up to $400. Like, I always think, like, well, I don't know who you can really be mad at for that, because clearly there's at least 2 people that are getting it up to that dollar amount. Now, in a similar sense, and for those who are maybe not familiar, it's become very popular for the last couple of years to offer some form of a raffle that are out on a couple of the Facebook pages in terms of discs. And I think someone could get a little bit more potentially frustrated if you have a disc, and I'm just going to say the retail of that disc is typically $15. Well, someone could potentially host a raffle on Facebook on one of these pages, and when you add up all the monies taken in, instead of that equaling, say, $15, it may equal 25 or 30 or 40 or whatever the case is. I guess what I was saying earlier is, even if that value is more than what the disc you think it should be at, if people are still participating in the raffle, then it's on them. I mean, and a lot of those things have a way to sort themselves out. I've seen plenty of raffles where someone will take a disc and they'll say, hey, I'm offering up 10 tickets at $10 a piece. In theory, they're going to get $100 for this disc when it's all said and done once the raffle sells out. You can't do the raffle unless it sells out of all the available tickets in this case. But everyone else is like, dude, that's like a $20 disc. We're not going to participate, and then that raffle therefore doesn't sell out, and therefore the market is still kind of dictated to some degree what it will or won't put up with. And I think that's kind of to the point. I'm sorry if I bored anyone that's not familiar with those, but that's been happening on Facebook for a really long time. The real story has been unfolding, and Johnny and I have talked about it. I've kind of kept him up to date a little bit, is for the last 4 or 5 or 8 or 10 years, a lot of transactions that are started or initiated on Facebook among hundreds of various Facebook groups, disc golf or otherwise, have been taking place. But then when people go to pay other people, the default mechanism has been PayPal's friends and family services,
which does not charge
either party any kind of transaction fee. So in theory, and I've been absolutely part of this as well to some at varying levels. In theory, someone reaches out to me, says, hey, I'd like to order 10 discs from you. The total is $300. They may send me $300, and it doesn't charge either of us. Well, long story short, PayPal's really cracking down on it, whether it's, not whether it is. It's some form of algorithms and things that they're doing on their end to find and notate and discover this workaround, or this abuse is really what it is. And they are starting to crack down and freeze or suspend indefinitely PayPal accounts. And so the solution is to do what really should be done in the first place, which is to make that exchange, but do it under their goods and services policy, which is where then PayPal takes a cut. And that's how PayPal primarily makes money. So it's very interesting. Again, if you are not part of Facebook groups and raffles and selling groups, this might all sound crazy to you, but it is 100% taking place, and it's affecting, I'm going to say hundreds, if not thousands, of disc golfers in some capacity as we speak. And we've really seen this crackdown from PayPal, where they're saying, hey, sorry, we just suspended your account for 180 days. You might have $20 in there, or you might have $2,000 in there. We don't care. We're suspending your account. You haven't been playing by our terms of services. And naturally, this is getting a lot of disc golfers really, really worked up.
Well, skirt the rules long enough, and suddenly you catch the bad end of it. And
absolutely. So that has been that's been taking part, and then the conversation continues into other mechanisms, whether it's a Google Pay or a Google Wallet or a Venmo. Just so many of you know, there's pros and cons to all of those services as well. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But I'm guessing by the chatter on the board, plenty of you know of how this is going down right now, and it's been very interesting, needless to say. David John says, the government wants your money. I don't think it's necessarily the government as much as it is, I don't know if you're talking about PayPal, but PayPal wants their money. They're providing a service, and when you're not using for the intended way, they are missing out on millions, if not billions of dollars. I could understand that getting frustrating after a while. All right, Jeremy Stewart says, please check Facebook Messenger. Important message about Patreon. I think that's the 34th time he's messaged. So
well, I was looking.
Click on it now.
And I didn't see anything in my messages, so I went to the Smashbox messages thinking maybe it was in there, and now I'm seeing it's under a message request, which is why I missed it the first time.
All right. Yeah, when are we just going to use Bitcoin? I mean, that's totally secure.
Totally secure. Actually, it's
and stable.
It's relatively secure. It's just not stable. I'm just going to hang on to my slightly less than a quarter Bitcoin and just let it.
Well, how much is that worth today?
I have no idea. I honestly couldn't tell you.
It.
I don't want to.
I do.
fine.
and then cut back to your $1,900 it was worth.
It was. Oh God, no! It was.
Or $19,000.
The Bitcoin price currently is $3,600. At one point, one Bitcoin was worth 19,000.
Oh my gosh!
I have never owned more than a quarter of a Bitcoin.
Okay.
So I own just slightly less because when it was pretty big, I sold just a touch so I could make back like the $200 I invested in it originally. I think ultimately I've
Should
invested,
I buy some now? I am cash flow.
Are you cash
rich.
fluid or something? Something I don't know?
No, I'm not. But if I had money, should I
No.
buy some now?
Probably not.
Why not?
Not unless you want something just to play with. Like if you just wanted to like literally it
Buy
would be
like 10 coins or something.
10 coins. It would be the equivalent of going to a blackjack table and just walking up and throwing your money there and saying, "Okay, we're going to bet it all." Kind of. Like it's such
Yeah,
it's
but
a,
it's at
such a gamble.
3,600.
Great.
That's a low, right? I mean, isn't it just like the stock market?
It dropped down to 3,000 earlier.
Oh.
So again, it's just a big gamble. I'm glad I bought the $200 worth I did back in 2013 or 2012 when I did, and it was only worth 1,000 at the time. I've more or less tripled my money, and it's plus I got a little bit out of it, but I could have sold for way more clearly, and I just gonna let it sit, and maybe someday it'll turn into something, or maybe it'll completely vanish. But if I pull it out, I have to pay taxes on it.
Oh.
If I let it sit there,
Capital gains.
capital
taxes,
gains.
huh?
And now, granted, that wouldn't be much at this point, but
Don't do it with money you need. Oh, Shane, that's just it. I don't need money. I am rolling in it. I'm rolling in.
you're lying.
Macbeth
You're rolling in
Frisbees.
Macbeth plastic is what you're rolling in.
Yeah. So as
I re-
alluded to, I will
like the gray and silver
sell
ones.
a little bit of what I have, but I do have plenty.
That's a really nice looking
This
one.
is the Undertaker, the TI Undertaker. One of them. Here's another one and another one. But,
I like the one, the really like the next one that's in that stack.
All right, here's why am I offering all this free? I'm gonna invoice you, Disccraft. Here's your free plug. I don't know. There's one. Here's a. Some of these had various levels of swirliness to them. The back of this one I thought looked relatively cool, so I'm not sure how well you can see all that, but anyway, so a few of them. And then some people were asking, and I do think
Not stretch there.
it's worth mentioning. Some people were discussing the feel or the texture of the Luna. Feels relatively rigid. I have felt a Roach, which this is very much modeled after or very similar to. This particular set have been very rigid, and I personally like a stiffer putter, such as this. It's got it feels like a very shallow rim to it, and it does not have a bead. And so I think those are some of the top questions. Beaded or not?
Like a stiff putter. You're different though, and you tend to like more of a slick putter.
I do like more of a slick putter,
and I like more of a base plastic. In Disccraft, it would be the D plastic. So I really like this one. I think this one looks really cool because
this one's pretty sharp looking. It has almost an over mold-ish feel or look to it, not feel.
Yeah,
but
like
obviously
a green edge versus the white inside.
And, so that's what you see.
Yeah, if you're going to show some plastic. I talked to Terry about this, and I said, what I want to do is go into his shed or storage when he gets
Which one?
I
got a lot of frisbees.
You do. When it gets a little warmer, and just pick a bin where you kind of you'll finger through it and just be like, hey, this is a 2011 USDGC rock. This is whatever, and here's a stack of 30 of them that I have, or whatever. I'd love to go through that. Just pick a bin. It's like a weekly series. Pick Terry's bins.
We're bin picking with Terry, the disc golf guy.
We're going to take a look and see
We're
what
going
you
to go
got.
bin picking. All right. Jeremy Stewart says, Johnny, you and Terry need to cancel both Patreon things I have for you guys. I'm making a new Patreon. I don't know if we can cancel.
I can, yeah.
Really?
I can, yeah.
Well, don't do that. I'm just kidding. No, we're calling your bluff. We'll wait to see your new one before we cancel your old one. I didn't honestly know we could cancel any Patreon.
We can block.
Just to clarify for people, we cannot adjust any of your Patreon settings.
No.
At best, we could cancel them. We could never have anything to do with adjusting them otherwise.
I'll take a look in there, Jeremy Stewart.
P. Hamill, good to hear and see from you, buddy. P. Hamill from Milwaukee area. I can't wait. Oh, I just called you out. I can't wait for warmer weather to truly give mine a go. Good call. Did you have to remove that sticker off your car? That wasn't in favor of Disccraft at one point? Ouch. Called it. The Luna does feel very good. Get Avery there to do an interview. Avery, of course, loves to go through plastic, and Avery's got an amazing collection that I believe takes up also storage sheds. And I think Avery, like myself, has a little bit of a story behind almost every disc. He could probably tell you where most of those were accumulated. And Avery's also gone way heavier on seeking out probably valuables and historic pieces. And Avery
99% Innova.
Is, well, not only Innova, but Avery also has kind of been able to play this international world champion celebrity card for a lot of years. So let's rewind, someone 8 years ago, I'll just make up a number, but someone 8 years ago in 2011, Avery, I saw that you love CE Eagles and CE T-Birds and these super rare and exclusive AVRs, blah, blah, blah. You're the greatest. You won 2009 Worlds. I love you. Here's all these amazing vintage collector discs at just bottom of the barrel pricing. And Avery has always, I think, benefited from that, as he should. I'm not hating. But he's been in that position. He's worked hard to get himself to be awarded some of those very gracious offerings. And I think he's been able to then take advantage and capitalize, is even a better word, capitalize on all of those. And I think that has helped massively expand his collection. And I for those reasons alone, I'd love to see what his entire collection looks like. Because I think people have been offering collectibles and high profile discs at not only reasonable prices or way below reasonable prices in order to extend a favor to him because of his status. And I think Avery has probably very much capitalized on that. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I'm just saying he's had that benefit built in for a lot of years. Kind of like you. No?
No, but if anybody wants to give me some sort of crazy discount for being me, I will not turn you down.
Those are all parts of being disc golf rich, right?
I've got recently.
Real quick, we need to shout out. David John says, I need new Sandstrom Velk and a Pro Classic Rock Terrier. Mine are getting good flippy. So, but thank you, David John, as the.
Do you have any Sandstrom Velks?
I don't. I'm sure I have a few buried, but I didn't throw Velk, so therefore, again, like we've said before, if I personally threw them, I'm far more inclined to have hundreds or dozens of them stashed away as opposed to a Velk, which I never really got into throwing them, so I didn't save a ton of them. But David John, thank you for the super chat. That's where I was going with all that.
What I was going with is, and I think I said this, I'm getting more and more of the itch to play, which is good, in that I want to go play tournaments again and kind of get back in the scene a little bit more. But with that comes getting an itch to buy plastic, which I haven't done in a long time. And seeing how the last time I was really into buying plastic was, almost 10 years ago. There's so much stuff now. I went to Marshall Street and I was like, my bag, I need something that's going to kind of do this. And I started clicking on buttons and it was like, oh, look, here's a list of 6 discs that all kind of fit your stability and speed that you're looking for. You could pick this one or this one or this one from this manufacturer. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, I've heard of this one. Maybe I'll try that one. And I honestly, I don't know.
Do you need to buy some of my Frisbees?
Maybe.
I've got a few that I could let you go.
Yeah, so I've been peeking around on like Facebook and things like that, different collectors groups, and I've always really loved the Buzz since the minute it came out, which is why I have a stack of old Buzzes. But seeing some of these out there, it makes me want to buy them, and then I see what they're going for, And I think there's no way I'm paying for that. Because the discs I want, I would, from here on out, I would probably want to throw. And if I'm paying $180 to $200 for a disc, I don't want to throw that disc. That becomes a collectible then.
Yeah, but those are the ones you get the aces with, man.
Really?
Yeah. How that works.
Man.
I've got a few to sell you.
Oh, you have some,
guarantee you
you have
aces.
some guaranteed ace discs?
Yes. All right. Some email exchanges going on. I don't know if I'm gonna blow any minds here with this statement, and I can't even take credit for it. Josh let me know this. As someone who just was exchanging an email, I think on the chat board. For starters, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think I am. Email
probably are.
Capitalization within emails is irrelevant, correct?
And email addresses, yes.
Yes, okay. As I stated on the board. So just going for clarity and backup there. However, more interestingly, I learned this last year.
That the dots don't matter in Gmail?
Yeah, the dots do not matter in Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are john.v.durzen.14324.77992.smashbox,
you can leave all the dots out and it's still getting to me.
gmail.com. And if you leave all the dots out in someone's email, of Gmail at least, is that just Gmail?
I've never thought about it for other companies. I've been a Gmail person for, again, like 10 years now.
So, interesting. Just for what that's worth to you people. So if you're ever worried about leaving a dot out in a Gmail account, now again, I don't know if that's it within others. I would think, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess. But I did learn that, and I learned that from none other than, you know who?
Matt from Udisc?
Yep. Matt from Udisc. Thought that was very cool to learn. All right, let's give something. Oh, we gave something away. I was about to give more away.
Stop giving us stuff away.
Oh, my gosh. How crazy is that? All right. Well, I didn't hear back from Yuli, who I said, sure, we'll take you. And then he said, okay. And then I said, are you ready? And then never heard from him. So I don't think we're going to hear from him at this point. Check your PMs. Got that all taken care of.
Cool.
Is he all good to go?
He's all good to go.
Only G's use Gmail.
Yeah, Jeremy Stewart, who has had an issue with his email, wanted us to take care of some things for Patreon. And then he said, same thing for the disc golf guy. So I'll step you through it.
I'll go take a look-sees. Yeah, you hurt Yuli's feelings. Well, we told him we'd have him. We just he disappeared after we made the official confirmation, and then he ghosted us, I think the kids say.
It's fine. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. This has been the podcast 230 after show. We appreciate all of you on the board. Go out, make your schedules, finalize them for Wisconsin and the Midwest, as well as the rest of the Pro Tour, the National Tour, all the majors. Get signed up. Get renewed for your PDGA membership. We'll see you on the course. For Johnny and Terry, the disc golf guy, we'll see you next time when you step inside the Smashbox.